Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Think of all that time. Every wait in the winter. Think of all that time. Those hours no one else. Every sprint in the summer. Every wait in the winter. Every sacrifice. Early mornings on the levee. Late nights in the film room. Bus rides to playoff games. Every bump in the road. Every moment of ecstasy. Every moment of doubt. Years wondering, is it all worth it? It's all led to this. Man, I got this. It's a 60-minute drive for a 60-minute game. After all the miles we've traveled, we're almost there. After all the hours we've worked, one more can make us legends. After all that time, this is our time.
Seems like no nonsense guy. Like
re-emphasize that for the Saints fans out there on TikTok. Caveman, what did you just say?
The rebuild starts right now. Marshawn Lattimore's gone, so the defense, like we're not getting any better.
Looking to get it into Smith. What a pass! That's it! Cordell Smith with the game winner! Oh my goodness!
And that is why you have Aaron Fry pass the ball in. A career year. And like you have you have the best quarterback in the league, arguably, the best wide receiver in the league, and you've got the best edge rusher in terms of total sacks this season. And you're 4-7, and your playoff chances are hanging on by it.
As true as day is night, my friend. Death, taxes, and the Chicago Bears losing to the Green Bay Packers. It's what it is. It's what it's always going to be.
Let's make it interesting.
We're making it interesting. Come on. Give us the freaking home team. We'll take it.
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Put him in there.
This knocked me off, though.
Who the heck is that guy?
Deflected good, help defense from the Warriors. Oh, what a pass! And Kuminga throws it down! This could be the pass of the year so far. You might watch every game the rest of the season in the NBA.
Mr. Announcer guy. So don't you go saying that you're never going to see that.
You're such a hater.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
You are looking live at Military Broadcast Radio on Till the Final Whistle.
What's up, everybody?
Caveman to my left, HG to my right.
Right. Good to see everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon. Lots of things happening in the sports world. Coaching carousel in the NFL. NFL playoffs. We got NFC and AFC championship games this weekend. National championship between Notre Dame and who's that school in Ohio? Or they Ohio State Cheetahs spending 37. I heard that Trump gave him half his political campaign fund to win the national championship. So, that's what we're working with. But we're going to recap that. We're going to recap that game, news and notes around the league, and a coaching carousel in the NFL. Maybe some college basketball, NBA, NHL update, maybe. We'll get to it. All that, much more coming up. Hopefully an interview at 9:45 with a guy who, big Bo Nix fan, big Denver Broncos fan, so that'd be kind of cool. See where his head's at going into next year. I mean, we already got NFL fans are already freaking psychotic. So the fact that we got, people making content on the internet for the Denver Broncos. I mean, are the Denver Broncos cool again, Mercury? I mean,
might be.
I mean, they might be, dude.
I think for the fans, yeah.
We gotta add like some playmakers, some flashy guys there on the offensive side of the ball. We got the defense.
You got to knock out Pat Mahomes, man.
Huh?
You got to knock out Pat Mahomes.
Right.
We got to do something.
Beat the Chiefs head to head next year at full strength.
Yeah.
Broncos might be back. We'll see. That'll be the tell.
It'll be fun. Hopefully he comes in, steps by.
That's the sucky part about being a Broncos fan. Is like, man, we found we might have found our franchise quarterback, and it's like, who knows how long it might be before we get to host another playoff game. Because we got the. It's weird because
if you had the team right after Manning left in 20, when you guys had your defensive coordinator as your head coach, and some of those teams early on 2015, 2016, the Trevor Simeons of the world. If you would have had your team then, now with Bo, I mean, your future would probably be.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's always inceptions of your team where it's like, man, if we had that defense then with our offense now, or our offense now with our defense then, it's like, man, dude, we'd been cooking with gasoline. But it's weird how it happens. Yeah. And we've seen what he's still stepping up.
Yeah.
Forcing fumbles. And he's probably, I don't know how, that guy's been in the NFL since I've been in high school, it seemed like.
2011.
Yeah,
that's when he came into the league, the number 2 overall pick.
Was he number 2 overall?
Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
no kidding. What school?
Texas A&M.
Good job. You see those TikToks like the super fan. Are you a diehard or casual? It's like, I'm a diehard. Where'd the top player of your team go to college? It's like, oh, I have no idea. And I'm like, all right, dude. I know where your backup punter went to school. I always ask that, you know what I mean? I always do that. But let's swing over to the national championship game that happened on Monday.
Let's jump into
while we were on break. We were on a little 2-day hiatus. Notre Dame, Ohio State in the national championship game on Monday. Ohio State winning that hotly contested matchup.
R.I.P. Notre Dame.
Yeah, rest in peace, Notre Dame. Great game. Ohio State jumped out to a really it was 21-7, 28-7 or something like that at halftime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good thing. The boys took down the opening drive and took it down an 8-minute, just running down your face. I was like, man, this is amazing. For Notre Dame fans, we are elated at this point because our last two national championship games we were in, we've been blown out. Wasn't even close. We actually got to play a little bit, show a little bit. Riley Leonard, like I said months ago, he's going to get into one of these games where he's going to need to throw you back into it.
The running game's not going to work, and you're going to need a quarterback. I think that was some of their problem early on, why they got down by so much, is a couple of times, a couple of their 3 and outs is they had him throw it on first down, and then he just missed badly, and then they obviously
now it's obvious
they see a run coming, so now you're in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12 because the run would lose yards, Yeah. And it's just not an offense that's really well equipped when they get behind the sticks.
Yeah. And Riley Leonard also our leading rusher, 17 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Ohio State knew Notre Dame's offense was running the ball.
Run the ball and
run the
great
ball.
house.
Jeremiah Love kind of nicked up. His knee's still bothering him. You can tell. He only had like 3 or 4 carries, just for a couple of yards, nothing crazy. A player that did show up for Notre Dame, Jordan Greathouse, 1-star recruit. Never even heard of this kid, probably a lacrosse player. He had 6 catches for $128 and 2 touchdowns.
He's been fantastic for them these past 2 games too. He was great against Penn State as well.
3rd 2-star recruit to catch a touchdown in the national championship game all time. No big deal. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got both of them in this game.
Got both of them. Yeah. Our number 1 wide receiver, Jordan Faison, he was pretty much held in check. Non-factor.
Didn't let him do anything.
One catch for 6
Downs
yards.
locked him up, and he is a lacrosse. He won the national championship for Notre Dame in lacrosse last year. He is a lacrosse player.
I got to get some honest to God whiteouts up.
Notre Dame's NIL budget this year was
South
$2.2 million, and Ohio State paid $23 million, a little north of $22 million, and they have 15 5-star recruits that played in that game on
You
Monday.
better win.
Notre Dame
dude.
had 1 5-star recruit, and they didn't even play.
You better win that game.
So it's like, man, it's the haves and have-nots. College football's in a good spot. I really like this 12-team playoff. I think they need to adjust the seeding where I don't know if Boise State and Arizona State should have been those teams getting. I know they're valuing
Arizona State did better, but
they did. I just don't know if they're the teams. I mean, like the teams who get the buys, man, you're just sitting there waiting. Some teams are going to be playing.
it shouldn't be it shouldn't be based on the conference winners then.
Like
I'm with
Is that
you.
what you're saying?
If it's, I think it should be the top 4 teams.
top 4
Just
teams in the
top 4
country.
teams.
Like
I don't
top 4
care about
highest ranked.
like
Yeah.
I'm an independent.
Yeah.
Good
It's
point. You're
Catholics
not-
versus conferences
Not even in
over
a
here.
conference, really.
I
You're
don't
just
care about
playing.
that.
Just to give like the conference championship some meaning, like the 4 highest ranked teams that win their conference championship get an automatic bid, but we don't reseed it, so they also get a bye.
Right.
I mean, it kind of went
Right.
this like the bye seemed more detrimental than hopeful this season.
Yeah.
Right? Every
All 4
team with a
teams lost.
bye lost
Got
Yeah.
that.
because they had almost an entire month off.
Yep.
Yeah.
You play your conference championship on December 10th, and then you're not back in action until January 1st,
Right.
Oregon
or
was
in Georgia's
undefeated.
case,
It looked
January
like crap.
2nd.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Georgia didn't
Right,
look
I mean,
that great.
oh,
against
you're-
Notre Dame.
you're Oregon, you take almost a month off, then you run into the buzzsaw of Ohio State.
State,
That's got
yeah.
some momentum after they just smoked
Tennessee.
Tennessee. They're feeling
Yeah.
good. They've
Yeah.
they've got a playoff win under them.
Right.
I think we just give it to the top 4 ranked teams in the country.
That's what I'm
That's
thinking
fair.
they're going to go
and
to next
shorten
year.
the bye. Don't like
Yeah.
they should
Yeah,
not
we
have
need
that
to-
much time
It-
off.
Yeah.
Or give everyone some time off because it felt like everyone was still playing games and all these top teams were just kind of hanging
I don't
out
like that
while
they played the
everyone
national
just
championship
played.
after the divisional. Like everybody's got 7 days of consecutive football, and then by the time that is done, you have the divisional round. That's a lot of football. Then the game's played on Monday. It's like how much prestige? I want it to be like January 1st, national championship, New Year's Day. Everybody that's when everybody's watching college football. Start the season earlier. You want to anyway. You're already adding games to these kids.
Yeah,
These kids
just
are playing
have
a
to start.
They played 16 games this year. Notre Dame did.
Yeah, that's basically an NFL.
It's
season.
an NFL season. So you're like all back in the day, it was like, it's a longer season coming from college and NFL. Like now, it's like that excuse
It's
isn't
not
there
the
no more.
same thing, yeah.
It's the same thing. You're playing 1 or 2, so they want to add to the season anyway. Start the season earlier. Half the SEC schools are going to be playing Coastal Carolina week 1, so it doesn't matter. So it's like, all right, well, shorten that. You can change the seeding for the college football playoff, and you can play the national championship January 1st, no matter what. And it's like that's kind of where I'm at, with it. But I did like the first year of the 12-team playoff. I thought it was
did too.
fun.
Well,
That
and
was
we,
fun.
we
Two teams
saw,
that played the national championship in the original Final Four wouldn't even been in it.
would have even been in it. And I mean, you look at it, the best team in college football did win the national championship. It's Ohio State. They're
Yeah.
the best team in college football.
Yeah.
They just had
That
they,
running back is awesome.
they just got caught off guard by Michigan. Probably, I don't know what happened there. why they lost, but they got caught off
On the
guard.
playground, got punched in the nose.
They got upset. They lost a close one on the road to Oregon. Those two losses, shouldn't keep them out of that 12-team playoff. I'm hearing people are saying that they're mad about that because they're college football.
Case could be made that they shouldn't have even been in it.
Right, and like in the 4-team format, yeah, they wouldn't have been in it.
The only reason why I think they made it is because Alabama lost that extra game at the end of the season for 3 losses.
I mean, you get killed by Oklahoma that just had a terrible year. That you shouldn't even be in it at all.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The SEC can win all these hypothetical games.
Well, and then Alabama went out and lost to Michigan too. So let's calm down about Alabama and how great they're. Like the SEC kind of went out sad this year, guys.
They did.
They
did.
They had some bad bowl losses to Big Ten teams.
Yep.
Illinois beat South Carolina.
Shocker.
Right.
One of my worst bad beats of the year in bowl season.
Bama went down to Michigan. Who was the other one? Was it A&M? They got hit. Didn't they get hit by a Big Ten team as well?
In a bowl game?
I think so. Did they lose?
No, I know Ole Miss lost too.
No, Ole Miss, they played Duke, but Duke had a bunch of opt-outs, so they just rolled them, and Jackson Dart played
really good.
But I don't think that the SEC was really not too impressive this year.
I can't remember, buddy. I'd have to look it up.
I'll see if I can find it while we're going on about this. But 12-team playoff gave us it was great. I mean, we had all this extra college football. There were some intriguing matchups. Naturally with the playoffs, there's going to be blowouts. I mean, look at the first round of the NFL playoffs. There was one possession game.
Right. That's a good point.
That's
a really good point.
So, everyone needs to calm down about we're getting
Yeah, USC beat Texas A&M in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
But my thing is SEC, you had your opportunity to show what you had against this Ohio State team with Texas, your newcomer in the conference.
Yeah. And they lost by 2 scores. 2 scores.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just one of those things that every year the SEC is so deep, dude.
2 chances against Ohio State. Tennessee had a chance out of 3.
That's right. Tennessee
beat him even worse.
And that was a team that I bet on, to cover. I thought that game was going to be way better than what it was, man. But Tennessee just didn't come out right. And the SEC, dude, it's just so low. Consolidate all that talent like Ohio State has in the Big Ten. It's man, they got that Caleb Downs kid from Alabama. Ohio State did. Their 2 best players are transfers from other schools. So it's all right, well, if the SEC, if they bring in the best players from other schools and come in there, it's the SEC won 15 national championships the last 18 years. So we need to also realize, we're talking 5 schools out of the SEC, including go back to Cam Newton era. There's been 4 schools in the SEC that have won a national championship. It's do we really that LSU team with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on it versus Ohio State? What are we really even debating?
That might be that's a little unfair. That's one of the greatest college football teams we've ever.
Well, that's what I heard this Ohio State team was with all this talent, Jeremiah Smith, and
I don't know if I'd say they're an all-time team. They were certainly the best team this season, best team in the country. I just don't know how high I would rank them compared to some other all-time teams we've seen.
Yeah.
But I again, what I like about the 12-team format is that you're going to get more schools in. The SEC, I think they just get favoritism, though, in the rankings. And that's why they always get more of a shot to prove themselves than these other conferences do, And I mean, past two years, it's been Big Ten schools. Who was it before Michigan? That was Georgia.
You'd have to go way back before the last time a Big Ten school won the national championship game before Michigan. I mean, you have to go back a long way.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
Ohio State when it was just the first year of a 4-team playoff with Urban Meyer. When they won it with Cordero.
2002.
I don't even.
2002. I wasn't even alive.
That was with Jim Tressel, and that was with Maurice Claret.
Yeah, they
Shout out
beat
Denver Broncos legend.
They had
They
had
athlete.
Urban Meyer, and they had
Yeah.
that Cordero. He replaced.
I think they beat Oregon in the first year of the.
I think it was Oregon.
Yeah.
They played Marcus Mariota.
That's right. They
yeah,
did.
something like that. You have to go back to like then, and like in between there, it was all SEC.
Oh, Clemson won a few in there.
That's basically an SEC school. They left the SEC because they were
At that
getting bullied
time
in the 70s.
At
and
that
80s.
time, it really kind of was.
Yeah.
It's like there wasn't.
They
much else
developed like
going
an
on in the
SEC school.
ACC.
And the head coach has a Southern drawl. He's, that old Dabo. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, they've just been owning the ACC for years.
That's not even a real conference. They're basically an SEC school to me. Especially being in South Carolina, like Spartanburg. You're in the heart of SEC country.
The ACC, they got a problem because
there,
they had a horrendous bowl record this year.
Oh yeah,
they were
all got
terrible.
beat pretty bad.
SMU and Clemson didn't have the Clemson at least won their first round matchup. No, they didn't. They got beat by Texas. What am I talking about?
By Texas.
And
Georgia Tech
SMU
lost to
went out.
Vanderbilt.
I think the ACC.
That's like one of the better. When we were talking about on our show, like Georgia Tech was one of those teams to watch. Like, hey, this is Vanderbilt, like bottom tier SEC school, kind of holding the torch for the SEC this
Georgia
year.
Tech
was Vanderbilt.
Did they go to 6 or 7 overtimes with Georgia?
They did. Yeah,
They did.
They went to
Cave
8
in.
overtime.
It was a
overtime game.
Dude, I thought that game was over. I went to the grocery store with my girlfriend. I'm like, how is this game? I looked on ESPN. I'm like, how's this game still going? 6 overtimes. Like, what?
That's another team.
What
dude.
happened?
What happened?
Haynes King is like Riley Leonard. He can't
Haynes
pass
King,
it back into a game.
Yeah.
He's a big runner, athletic runner guy, but
Iowa State beat
Grace.
Miami in the bowl game. Well, half of Miami's team didn't play after halftime, though.
Right.
they beat
Cam
him
Ward
for
came
half
in
a
to
game.
North Carolina,
play,
UConn. Shout out UConn.
They won too.
27-14. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, UConn was pretty good this year.
Yeah.
They play the
They
power. They play the
independent, too.
Power 4 team in their bowl game, right?
They did.
That was North Carolina.
Missouri beat Iowa 27-24.
The ACC. I think they were like 2-16 in bowl
Yeah,
games
it was
this
bad,
year.
man.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
God.
horrendous.
It was bad.
So,
But
are we saying that they're the bottom of the Power 4 conferences
the ACC,
going
I'd
into?
probably assume
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
I take the Big 12.
I take the
over
Big
them.
12 over them too, especially if Deion stays at Colorado.
The ACC got better though this year. Wasn't as bad. There was a few teams.
they looked
hung
good
in
in
there
the
for a
regular
I think
while.
they're
season.
I think they're the 4 out of the. I mean, I would probably say.
They
I mean, all
hung
right.
in.
So the Big 10 won the national. So I'll put Big 10 first, even though I don't think they're the best conference. I still think that's the SEC. Just for how much talent you have to take in all the factor. Like sometimes, I mean, yeah, the games can tell you one thing, but dude, that conference is just so like I don't disagree with Lane Kiffin. The SEC is different. It's just so totally different. You're getting everybody's best shot because of that name on the front of your jersey with that SEC patch. The talent, the money, everything that goes into football in the South, it's just a different. I mean, I don't know how much Iowa really, really, truly cares about their football program. You know what I mean?
Decent
Like
enough,
they're
but not,
okay, but like, yeah,
nothing like
nothing like-
Georgia.
or not even them, bro.
Bama.
Like, I mean, like South Carolina.
True.
You know, like you
Texas
can go
A&M.
like to the bottom tier SEC school, like Ole Miss. Like, what is that school known for other than
Freaking
racism and
Missi-
football?
Mississippi State.
What are
even.
we talking about? You know, don't even mention Florida. You know what I mean? And then the history of Florida, it's like, oh, it's 7 national championships, 4 or 5 Heisman Trophy winners. You know, some of the best players in the history of the NFL have come out of Florida. So it's like Emmitt Smith, shout out. But it's like, man, dude, I just don't know. But I would put the ACC as probably like the 4 out of the Big 4 conferences right now.
Like, you got Clemson in there, and they're always like a
It
threat.
is
But,
Miami. I don't know if Miami's going to be.
I
And
mean,
then
Carson
they're
Beck's
yeah,
going there, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
yeah.
Reload on some talent.
Louisville,
forgot about
you know what I mean? Like Louisville. I don't know.
They were just pretty mid. They looked
pretty
like they were strong. And then kind of lost to a few crappy.
There's good
teams after
aspects
winning
about
some
it.
big
ACC
games.
teams. Georgia Tech, same thing. Good running game. I like their coach. I love their coach at Georgia Tech. He gets them play good football. I just don't know if they're going to be able to like week in and week out like that SEC schedule. We looked at some of the schedules. Some of those schedules were gauntlets, dude.
Yeah, they're tough. They're tough this year.
Like Ole Miss had a gauntlet. You know, I mean, I know, and like that's not even saying like, and that's LSU being bad. And they still won 9 games and a bowl game. And they got Brian Kelly as their coach. And that guy's nobody's a bigger clown to me in college football other than him. Dabo Sweeney, Brian Kelly, who did you rather have?
Oh, Dabo.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I heard that on I was watching this debate show. I'm like, what are you guys even debating? You know what I mean? Like, you know, but like that's like the tier system, you know, in the SEC. It's like, man, it's just different, dude. Like Jimbo Fisher, Brian Kelly. You have to go all the way down. That's what I mean. Like, dude, and Brian Kelly's considered a top coach in the SEC.
Look, Brian Kelly last season had Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. all on his team, and they won. They could only win 10 games, and they didn't even make it to the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
And like we see how all those dudes are doing in the league. So,
dogs in the NFL.
Right. They're tearing it up. So he is clearly not very good at utilizing his talent.
Nope.
Maximizing
Absolutely
them to their true potential.
He's a businessman's coach. He's a businessman.
Right.
For the team.
Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and you're not even in the
and you don't even show up to the Heisman Trophy award ceremony.
Crazy.
He
didn't even show up.
They don't have that great of a quarterback now. Like they lost a bunch of guys to the draft.
Yep.
Weren't as good. They only won one last game, but
and they're going to spend a shit ton of money in the NFL.
Yeah. They had a bunch of people transfer, like over 20 kids.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you could probably get that many just from your own transfers, like people getting people to come to your school.
True that.
But still, that's like 2 full teams, 27 people.
Right.
2 full. You got an offense and a defense and some
like
backups,
your backups
right there.
Right.
Yeah. That's a lot of people that you got to replace right there in one off season.
All right.
College football's in a good place, though, boys. Next year's going to be fun. We're going to see what happens, how they
give
adjust
me
this
a real quick, like, if you could try to foreshadow what you think the next playoff is going to look like next year. Who do you think's in it?
Well, I know one team that's going to be in it. Notre Dame University will be back. The Irish boys will be back in the national championship game next year. Guarantee it.
All right.
Guarantee it.
But you're
Notre Dame.
Bet it right now, everyone.
Notre Dame versus, Nostradamus. Jimmy Covers over here. Jimmy Covers giving veterans a voice. Notre Dame versus, let's say, Texas.
I think Texas with Arch, they're going to make it.
Texas versus Notre Dame. Because Notre Dame's going to get that 5th seed again. They're going to be in the bottom of the bracket, and they're going to be able to play a couple easy games to start. Like, Georgia's, prolific, obviously national champion. Their team just wasn't the same as it was in years past. Like,
a team I think that I think we'll at least see in the Final Four next year. Clemson. Klubnik's coming back. Possibly. I think they're gonna retain a lot of that. A lot of their talent. They don't have too many draft prospects on that team. So it's a team that's going to get more experience. Obviously, it's Clemson, it's Dabo. They're going to bring in more talent. That defense, it's just going to be a more experienced, more veteran team coming into that postseason with a quarterback that has at least one, new playoff game under his belt. I think Clemson could be a problem next season. And watch out for Ole Miss. I know they're losing Jackson Dart, but for
Kiffin,
a lot of what I'm hearing is that they're still retaining some of their weapons there at wide receiver, and I think they're going to do a good job of reloading on their talent and everything. Make some moves in the transfer portal. Ole Miss, team that missed out, I think will be in the mix and could be a problem next year. So I'm watching out. Those are the 2 teams I'm watching out for next year.
I like it. Who you got, K-Man?
I'm going to be watching Colorado, obviously. I want to see how this new quarterback does this year. This 5-star guy.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
they got all the ads coming out. You know, Shadare handing them the keys.
I've seen that.
You know, to the team. I want to see how they do.
You think he
I
goes to the
don't-
NFL? We're gonna get to that in our coaching roundup.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's been a couple coaching hires in the NFL that we'll get to in a little bit.
He honestly has a chance to. There's so many teams that need a coach. I feel like that's also a hire that kind of get your fan base back on your side a little bit. If you had
It would
a crappy
legitimize
season,
it for sure.
legitimize your team a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people are obviously going to hate the guy. I mean, he came to Colorado and just got hated on for no reason.
I don't know what.
so
I
I don't even know.
It's the Deion Sanders has been going by prime since like my childhood. This has been
Yeah.
an ongoing. The guy is still the same. I don't understand it. I
Same
love
guy.
that about Deion Sanders. You know
He's
exactly.
authentically him.
I love that, dude.
Same guy.
It's so
Always.
refreshing to see. It's exciting when he talks. He's very motivated.
I think
I
some people
love
just
Deion
got
Sanders.
upset that the media, like the sports media, just really hyped CU up a bunch, and it was like, okay, well, I mean, you can did they go a little overboard? I think
Probably.
yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's not
That's
his-
college football.
right? That's not his
college
fault.
football.
That's the sports. That's the college football media's fault.
Yeah.
You know, and also, I mean, like
The market in Colorado's grown.
his first game, you come in, you take a 1-11 team, and they go into TCU, a team that played in the national championship
Yeah.
the year before,
and win
and win.
Yeah.
And a thrilling
with
shootout.
absolutely no talent. I mean, like,
Yep.
I know he had his son and Travis Hunter, but like outside of that, it was pretty rough around the
Right.
edges and
Dude, I mean,
in Boulder there.
He had to
if
rebuild the
Shador
team.
and Dion don't come there, you think like guys like LeJontay Wester,
Right.
Like, are they even like gonna
Jimmy
be
Ward?
Jimmy Horn? That's
Jimmy
it.
Horn, yeah.
And what's the other guy? Shepard, something like Will
Yeah.
Shepard.
Will Shepard.
I think all those guys are like legitimate, like, you know, NFL prospects now, just
Yeah.
because of like all the, you know, all the showcasing they got at Colorado, and like having that type of quarterback throwing them the football
Right. Charles
Really-
Sanders, pretty good
yeah.
safety in
Yeah.
college football.
really brought all that their talent out of there. Like that guy Bentley, like that linebacker they
Yeah,
got there.
linebacker. Yeah, he can run.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
can run.
would people even know who I was talking about if it wasn't for
Would-
Dion and what
right.
he did there at that program?
Yeah.
I mean, he gave some guys some names. I don't
Get off
understand the
him.
I
hate. I,
like
mean, he
that,
just
yeah.
came in and kept being
Exactly
Dion.
what you want as a
Yeah,
college football
exactly.
coach.
Did the
Exactly
exact
what
same,
happened.
the exact
The
same
team
thing
got
he
better.
did at Jackson
Wow.
State.
Whoa.
Like,
Kind of shocking,
Yeah,
right,
it's
Caveman?
crazy.
it was the exact same thing he did at Jackson State, man.
Just
Yeah.
made the team better.
And he just came to Colorado and did the same thing, and all of a sudden, then people hated it.
You can still see the TikTok videos of Travis Hunter in high school saying that he's a 5-star Florida State commit. And then he went to
Yeah.
HBCU with Deion Sanders,
Yeah.
5-star. Like, that's literally impossible to recruit a 5-star. Like, he's in talks to be the number 1 pick right now. He went
And-
to an HBCU.
If you're
for
Florida
3 years.
State, what are you? You have the kid committed, and instead of hiring Deion, they hire the clown that they have there now. Instead of the icon that played for you,
They had a chance to get,
and then
all
you
of
get,
them.
and you're this big team, and you obviously Shador
could've
comes
been
over, and then
Florida
you could have
State.
got the NIL with the portal open, buddy. Florida State could have easily been in the national championship game this year.
They wouldn't have got fleeced that year and then got beat 63-3 to Georgia
Bingo.
in that bowl.
They would.
game.
I can promise you this: they don't get left out of last year's playoff.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't have got
With
left
Jordan
out.
Travis, all that disappears. And then you're going to tell me that one of those two teams want to play Florida State with Travis Hunt? No
Nope.
chance
Get
in
out of
hell,
here.
boys.
All
No
time,
chance in hell.
all time
All-time
fumble
fumble, dude.
from Florida
They-
State.
From Florida
fumble.
State, bro.
Kind of deserve that too. In that
They
season
really
being out
did.
there.
They really did.
Big
Yeah.
fumble.
2-10.
It's kind of wild how college. That's why I like college football too, because you can have like outside, like NFL. There's playoffs. There's teams that are very, very competitive. College football, there's just like one or two little mistakes that you can make off the field. You know, a business decision here or a
Yeah.
wrong decision on coach there, and it's like you go from a college football playoff team to firing your coach and being, you know, a downtrodden program who's just forgotten about. You know, when I was a kid, you know, Patrick Warren there was dudes, Terrell Patrick for Florida State, like those teams were Charlie Ward back in the day. Back in the day, dude, Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy, they didn't draft quarterbacks that were black like that in the first, like it just did. He went to the NBA and played basketball.
I was going to say, Charlie Ward played basketball.
Dominated college foot, buddy. College
Won a
quarterbacks
Heisman,
now,
didn't he?
buddy, won a Heisman and 5,000 yards passing, 1,500 yards rushing, 60 touchdowns, set the scoring records for college football all time. Okay. Won't get touched. We will need to see a kid stay in college 3-4 years to do what to break Charlie Ward's records. Absolute stud. But because the NFL and whatever they had going on, nope, can't draft him. Undrafted in the NFL. Undrafted. A cannon for him. The best quarterback. When I was a kid, like 10, 11, young caveman coming up.
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
And he was a solid role player in the NBA, wasn't he? He averaged like
solid.
He played for the Knicks. He went to
8-9
the
points over his career. Like,
Yeah.
came off the bench.
Yeah.
He was liable to go
He's
off.
an
Give you
Back up
25
to
or
John
something.
Starks and beat up John Starks in practice. You know what I mean?
The other team I'm watching is South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see Sellers coach.
I
some
really
more
like their
games.
coach too, man. I love their coach there.
They
Let's get
got
the
they
boys
got
back.
something kind of special brewing there where it's like I feel like that program's like
They got a bunch of freshmen there, man.
they're
super young
right there
team.
on the edge of like becoming, a force for at least a couple years.
They were
They're gonna
so
have a
close
say
to
so
getting there,
in
too.
that division in the SEC anyway.
Oh, certainly.
They finished 6th, so they could easily be in there. They
But again, a
lost
lot
their
of
bowl
freshmen,
game, so-
lot of freshmen,
Yeah.
and a lot of injuries on that team this year. And with the NIL, I know South Carolina is going to spend some money.
They lost Sellers for like half the year, and they were still winning games.
Yep.
So
He didn't even start
Still-
to start the year.
All
No.
right. Guys, before we go on break, I do want to go. I have one more question. I got to get your opinion on one more play from this game that ultimately ended up deciding it.
What's that?
Leaving Jeremiah Smith one-on-one
Yeah,
in
that
this
was,
Tried to
game.
call
I've
it.
been dying to know.
the guy tried to call it out.
yeah.
He had an assignment he had to follow. He
was
tried to call
pointing.
it.
You could see him jumping, and I knew it wasn't good. We had to cover 0 in that situation. And I saw Xavier Watts, our All-American safety, probably top 2 round draft pick. He kind of came down slashing off the. And I'm like, man, I know there's going to be nobody over the top. Hang in there. I'm just hoping for like a bad ball or something.
No,
Dropped it in
perfect.
there.
Right on the money.
But that's the play that you expect Ohio State to make. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well, and great. It was great, like pre-snap read by Will Howard. I mean,
It was.
He set up his protection.
good
perfectly.
design by what's his name? I would Chip Kelly. I always want to call him Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
No relation, I hope, from Chip Kelly to Brian Kelly, but
Yeah. But just
We'll find out. We'll
I
find
always
out the
call
coaching.
Brian Chip and Chip Brian. I'm an idiot like that.
saw what he had, put that max
Yeah.
protect on. Just
Yeah,
my
Yep.
guy against yours.
yeah.
I-
Not
like-
really much there as a pass rush.
No.
That's one thing I want to see Notre
Yeah.
Dame develop next year is a little bit more of a pass rush.
No shade to Christian Gray. I mean, that's a tough ask.
It's a tough ask. 1-on-1, you're a freshman against.
I know, like he's a freshman, but that guy's like a unicorn.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
he's-
a freak athlete. Like, that's
He would be, I think,
like
if he could come out in the draft this year, top 3.
oh yeah. I mean, Jeremiah Smith is
I
going to
think
be a
he's
top 10 pick probably. He might be the first receiver since Devontae Smith to win a Heisman. Like he could be potentially.
Oh,
That
Devontae
talented.
Smith did win a Heisman, didn't he?
He did.
He had a like a little bootleg touchdown in the national championship against Ohio State too.
That's
Didn't he?
right.
Yeah.
Old
When
Chip
Justin-
Kelly was watching tape at 2
That's
a.m.
right. And Justin
was-
Fields, that was when Ohio State had Justin Fields as their
Yeah.
quarterback. He had that dot, though. He threw that one deep ball. NFL GMs were like, bring
Is
that
it
on.
right?
It's like, well, that's only one time in the last
Yeah.
15 years of his playing career. But,
Bears, baby.
This was tough for Christian Gray. That's the guy.
That
that's
was
gonna,
tough
He's going to
play.
be.
and that was really the backbreaker because we're driving. If
The
we
back.
got that stop, we could have gotten the ball back with a few minutes left
Right.
and a timeout. How we managed that whole time before that, man, leading up into it,
I didn't like.
questionable.
You gave him such a cushion, and then you just gave him like you're playing all of your leverage to the middle of the field,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Like I get,
We
yeah,
were. You're
wanna,
right about that.
like I get you want to use the sideline as your friend, but like I mean, your hips are like, they're flipped towards the sideline.
Yeah.
It's just like I mean, he just kind of he
He
was
just
just
ran-
faster.
he
He,
ran
just
right
ran
past
right
him.
past him.
Yeah. He just ran right past him.
And
But
it's like you're looking towards the sideline to really be able to defend that ball. You would have to get your hips flipped back
to it.
facing towards the middle of the field.
Exactly.
Eh,
He's got his face in his chest. That's an impossible. There's no way, dude.
yeah.
You're almost running backwards at that
Pretty
point
much.
when you're doing that.
You're screwed. at
You're
that
screwed.
point. It's
Oh no. What could
Roll
go
credits.
wrong? Oh no, it all went wrong.
Exactly.
You know,
Credits.
you know what I mean? But it was a
Yes.
fun, dude. It's what a year, man. I
It's a great
definitely,
season, man.
I definitely didn't expect it.
After
Shout
getting
out, Mark.
upset by
Is Notre Dame
NIU,
cool finally?
I think so.
I think so.
I
We lost, and they're like, dude, these dudes were playing.
it's literally just the Brian Kelly effect.
It is the Brian Kelly effect.
People didn't hate Notre Dame; they hated Brian Kelly. People didn't like Brian Kelly. You like
Boring
Marcus
football.
Freeman comes in here. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Notre Dame, like people want to root for Notre Dame over
Yeah.
Ohio State. They're rooting for them over
People
Georgia.
were rooting
Penn
for
State.
Notre Dame over Georgia, and it blew my mind. I'm like, what world am I living? I'm like, where are all these bandwagons coming from, dude?
That's just
Like
nobody
that
wanted to
was
see
it. I was
Georgia.
like, Notre Dame's like the New York Yankees, dude. Like nobody has bandwagon fans. Like you're either born a Notre Dame fan or like something happened, trauma in your life where you're like, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Okay. That's 90% me, and my grandmother. But like, I'm like, oh wow, like Twitter. Oh wow, there's all of a sudden we're out coming out the closet. And I'm like, all right, dude, let's go Irish, boys. We'll see though. I think we're gonna be able to get some kids in the NIL, man, and get some transfers up in here and really rebuild this
Going
thing.
on a long campaign like that and having a NBC documentary about
Right.
your team's season.
Yep.
That's going to
yeah.
draw some kids in. I mean, you get like that the Fighting Irish thing that they got there on Peacock, whatever it's called. Like,
Yep.
You get an inside look at like what the culture is like there. I think that's just going to do even better for them. for their
Notre Dame
recruiting,
announced the
their
minute
transfer
after we
portal.
lost, $17 million is going into the football program. From the national championship run. Shout out Notre Dame for immediately hey kids, we got 17 mil we're going to invest in this team now. It's like we got Catholic Church money, baby. Let's go.
Like we're ready to come back.
We're
here.
gonna
It's
this
really
new era
easy to
college.
watch their
We have an
Hop on board.
auto bid into the college football playoff if we just win. If we only have 2 losses or less, it's like okay. Well, if we have an auto bid, why would it's like my thing is like they're like, oh, well, you got to make Notre Dame join a conference. I'm like, well, why don't Alabama? Like, why are you even in? Everybody wants to get out of a conference. They want conference realignment. Just go get your own TV deal. If you're as popular as you think you are, go get on one of these networks. Go get on TNT. Show all your games on USA or whatever. All these other markets.
Because
Every
Notre Dame is NBC's
It's on
team.
NBC.
We
Yeah.
are, dude, the head of the president of NBC since its inception has came from Notre Dame. It only exists because of Notre Dame. It's the NBC. It's a nickname. It's been around since I was a kid. My grandmother used to call it Notre Dame Broadcasting Station
Literally.
because that's all they used to show was back in the day when there was only 2 games on TV. It was Notre Dame football and the Green Bay Packers. NBC. That was it. Now there's trillion all this,
I got
and
it.
it's just
Billion
whatever.
things. But
Yeah. So it's like, well, if the SEC is so big, go. Why would you Alabama, Texas? Oh, Texas. Oh, we're the biggest school in the country. Well, then go you tried being independent and it didn't work. You know what I mean? We just have the business for it. It's like, I don't want to join a conference. I don't want to share all my money with, I don't want to share my money with Vanderbilt. I'm Alabama. Why am I sharing my money with this team? We just lost to them. They kept us out of the playoff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, no, be an independent. If it's so bad, if it's like this thing that you think is unfair, why aren't you trying to do it? That's my question. I don't want to get off on a tangent.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go head over to a break. Before we go, drop it in the comments. What was some of your favorite moments from this past college football season? First year of the 12-team playoff was a great one. Really enjoyable football all season long.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Super excited to see what next season brings and what what year 2 of the 12-team playoff is going to have in store for us. But don't go anywhere. We're going to have a divisional round recap coming up and a little bit of a dive into this coaching carousel that we got going on in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
Stay with us.
Bears
folks.
hired Ben Johnson. We'll see what happens. Coming up.
Best Buy, Little Caesars, Subway, all across the nation has been played. So we're pretty freaking excited about it. Come on, y'all, let's take a little trip to Wichita. Astray, made me think it was my plan. Your southern charm and wit have always been your gift. The downfall of many a good man. But there you go again, off with my best friend, acting like you done lost your mind. Well, I ain't about to stay with you treating me this way. So love is not really blind. Oh, the whiskey gets me before you do. I can't let my heart fall. I'll be throwing down my second round, and I'm headed back to insane, but your words feel just like a slap. I can tell by that look in your eye, you ain't ever coming back. Hope the whiskey gets me before you do. I can't let my heart fall. Second round, then I'm headed back to Wichita.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And we are back. Jimmy Covers is in the bathroom.
Quick
But
pee break.
we got Caveman and HG here in the house. We're going to just get it started jumping into the divisional round recap. And I think to start the weekend, let's just address the elephant in the room first and foremost. Let's go to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, we need to. Let's just get this.
The Chiefs,
rip the Band-Aid.
Texans. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about it. Another win by the Chiefs in the playoffs to host their 7th straight
I think so.
AFC Championship game.
7 in a row.
One shy of the record the Patriots set on the tail end of Brady's dynasty.
And it sucks.
They had
say,
8.
If they three-peat here, dude, like aside from all the hate that they get, they're still going to be up there for one of the greatest dynasties. Like it's going to completely solidify it, man. I just hope that somebody can knock them off. It's sad to watch him. Watching Patrick Mahomes flop on the sideline like he's LeBron or D Wade just absolutely made me lose my mind. I was so glad I had to work.
Early in that game, that roughing the passer on Will Anderson Jr. Very ticky-tacky. I mean, you've got, like, I guess his forearm kind of hits Mahomes' face mask, but I mean, he goes into the chest first. And it's as Mahomes is throwing the football. It's a bad overthrow by Mahomes. It's just hard to not look at that like a bailout flag. Like, that's just a bad pass. You know, he threw a bad pass under pressure. 31 other quarterbacks in the league get hit like that, and I don't think that flag comes out.
And it's dumb. You can't even argue it for the fact, like, people say in baseball, like, the tie goes to the runner. You can't really say that the tie goes to the quarterback in football because it only goes to the quarterback if you're playing against the Chiefs. Any other team, your quarterback's going to take a shot, a game. There's at least one moment in the game where they got to stand and deliver in the pocket and take a hit. Even Patrick Mahomes. But, like, there's a play where two Texans defenders hit each other, and the penalty was on Houston.
Right.
Nobody even touched the guy.
I mean, he's doing all this, like, bull crap where he's like slowing up before he goes out of bounds.
Like baiting for the hit.
Yeah, he's trying to goat defenders into hitting him. And it's like, the NFL's got to step in and change the rule or something because he knows he can get away with this. Like,
to you.
He's doing this to get these 15 yards and help keep these drives going. Like,
they call it savviness, you know, when he's like plays like on the sideline, you know what I mean? Like, because like, you're gonna get the flag if you just show, you know, it's like the LeBron James era of flopping. Like, that's just what it is in the NFL. It's this version. And then, you know, because he's the poster child, you get the call.
We saw all regular season where he'd do this like slowing up thing and the defenders wouldn't hit him. And then all of a sudden he'd keep going and rip off like an extra 20 yards.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to do that crap in the playoffs. They're not going to like let up on you. They're going to make sure they finish the play. Yeah. So I just, what is the defense supposed to do? If they finish the play, they could get flagged for 15. They don't finish the play, he's going to just stop and cut up the sideline all of a sudden and rip another 10, 15 yards on you.
Yeah.
So, like, you're doomed if you do, doomed if you don't.
Right.
Like,
no, that's exactly the way to put it. You really are doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. And
what
then you see Jaden
play?
Daniels play the Detroit Lions, and it's a completely different refereeing style.
Yeah, he got hit on the sideline hard a few times in that game, like leveled.
Both quarterbacks. Jared Goff was taking guys would be arrested on the sideline for vehicular manslaughter if they hit Mahomes
and
the way that Jared Goff and Jane Daniels are getting hit.
And in the Ravens game, Lamar Jackson, well out of bounds, gets ridden down by a defensive lineman.
3 yards out of bounds.
Right. Like, well into the Ravens sideline, and that he's getting taken down.
He had 3 feet on the white.
So
it's not a flag.
Like,
it's two different things.
What are we as fans supposed to do when we see other guys just getting murdered out there?
Yeah.
Somebody rolled up an old clip of Brady taking off and scrambling, and he got cracked. His helmet just got launched. Like, Brady lost his helmet. That thing went flying. and he just got up and jogged back to the
Yeah.
huddle. No crying to the ref.
Yeah.
No complaining. Like, that's football. I was a runner. I tried to slide late,
Bro, that's it.
and that guy cracked me in the mouth.
There's no
in the mouth.
in that video. You notice one thing about the fans. There's no oohs and ahs because that's normal.
That's just football.
That's
just
what happens
the sport should
in
be.
football, and it was a clean hit. If you get hit clean, I'm sorry if you're sensitive. Don't go. State Farm is hiring, Patty. Go play baseball.
I want to bring it back to
You know what I mean?
a hit we saw earlier in the season where there's another quarterback that did something similar. Trevor Lawrence, a hit that got Aziz Al-Shair
Yeah.
ejected and then suspended.
Somehow got suspended.
And you look at that, and it's a third down where Lawrence is running, and then he slides super late. Like, you've got to stop these. Like, ban the quarterback run if you don't want them getting hit, because they can't be doing this shit where they run and then they take a super late slide. As a defender, I mean, you can't, like, you have to go for a hit there. You've got to try to stop them.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's a play on third down or something. You know, you can't just
What else
give
are you
up
supposed
the
to do on third down?
yeah, you can't just
Just
give
let
up
him
the
get
line
the
of
first down.
scrimmage. You know,
Another play that happened in this Houston game when Patty was using his legs to extend the play. I thought we banned the illegal blindside block. Yeah. What's up with Travis Kelce just peel backing on linebackers when Patrick Mahomes is using his legs to escape? He's 15 yards downfield and he comes back towards the play, towards the line of scrimmage to block linebackers and earhole them. I
thought that was illegal.
it for every other team.
All right.
You know
I know
what
they
I mean?
haven't
every other
called
team.
hip drop tackles all year. But
I mean,
there was a blatantly obvious
poster
one.
child of hip drop tackle. That's a different ball game. He scores that touchdown. It's 21-20. They have the lead. They don't even have that field goal yet because they only had that touchdown. So they would have taken the lead there.
And I think other teams know this, and the Texans said they knew this, and they knew they were going to have to
You heard it in
outplay.
the post game, man.
We were going to have to outplay the favoritism that the Chiefs are going to get with the refs, and they didn't do that. They were pretty efficient on third down, 10-17, but you get sacked 8 times. Your special teams was a disaster.
Shout out Kyle.
You miss
didn't get flagged for it.
You miss an extra point. You miss a field goal. You give up a massive return. They were getting dominated in the field position game. Like they outgained the Chiefs. This is a little stat from
Houston dominated the time of possession,
Yeah.
33 minutes to 26 minutes.
and here's a little stat just from this divisional round. Every team that had the most yardage in a game this weekend lost.
Yep.
Because the yardage doesn't
Ravens
matter.
had, like,
It was the
200
teams
more
that made
yards.
less mistakes, that had less, that had less penalties, or if they were getting penalized, they were in less costly situations.
Yeah.
Where it was like, maybe I'm getting a holding call, but we're already in field goal range. Just moves me back from the 10 to the 20.
Yep.
At the very least, I can still play for setting the field goal up. Whereas opposed, I'm getting a holding at the 30, moving back to the 40, and then we're losing yardage, and now we're out of field goal range, and then we got a punt instead of getting 3. And teams were just maximizing their possession. So the Chiefs, I mean, they're going to get calls, and but you can't have as many blatant errors as the Texans had as well. They had a lot of bad errors.
If
Opening
you know
kickoff.
you're gonna see, this is what I want to like. If I'm a defensive coordinator, Patrick Mahomes is very lucky. Greg Williams for the New Orleans shout out caveman for the New Orleans Saints isn't allowed to run because it's like, okay, if I'm gonna get flagged for it, you're getting flagged regardless, right, Mercury?
Exactly.
You're getting flagged regardless. You're getting fined regardless. You're getting flagged regardless. I'm gonna take my guy who probably isn't going to play much other than rotational linebacker. I'm going to put him as a spy. I'm going to force him to roll out and do that. And then I'm ear-holing him and I'm knocking him out of the game.
And that's the other. If you're
I'm high-lowing, Patch, because I'm getting fined and I'm getting flagged and I'm getting suspended regardless. So now I'm going to make it worth it. And now Chad Henney's going to be your quarterback.
If you're the NFL,
if it were me,
you got to stop letting the Chiefs get away with this, because I think eventually somebody's good. They're going to get fed up, and they're just going to do that to Mahomes because they know that if they push him gently like that out of bounds that they can get
It's a
flagged.
flying and a flag.
So I might as well just
Make it worth it.
My third string linebacker, leave your feet. Lead with the crown of your helmet directly into the side of this.
Or just go no on it. We know he has he's had knee problems. He's had ankle problems.
Oh, you're gonna slow up going out of bounds.
I'm gonna take your knee out.
I'm dropping right on that,
dude.
Like
one Euro soccer slide on his legs where you scissor kick his legs. Career's over.
Slide tackle and he's over.
And we're not advocating for
I'll
hurting players, but people
I'll do it.
like if you're just gonna let them get away with this shit, then they're just
that's what's going to happen.
Eventually somebody's gonna get so fed up that they're gonna be like, well, let's just take him out. We're gonna get the flag anyway.
I'm paying $15,000 in a fine anyway, no matter how much where I hit this guy.
Now my team gets a chance to win at least,
you know.
The Bills do have Kareem Jackson. Could be the perfect sacrifice.
I already bet the Bills, dude.
I mean, that is
I already bet the Bills. The Bills were home underdogs. We got to get to that game in a second. The Bills were home underdogs to Baltimore.
The harbinger of CTE.
Best bet of the weekend for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, guys, definitely the harbinger of CTE. No question.
Well, recap on this Texans game. They also had a number of fumbles.
They did.
They didn't do what I said they're going to have to do, which was, control the ball on the ground. They ran it. They ran it pretty decently.
Turnovers.
Yeah, they did have no turnovers, but they let Stroud get under duress, and the forgotten third phase of the game, special teams, complete disaster for them.
Complete disaster. It's been a disaster all year.
Missed calls, bad calls aside, if you collapse on special teams, field position is so important. Missing field goals, missing extra points, it's all so important, and they didn't capitalize on that there.
They did not.
But we'll keep it in the AFC and finish recapping the AFC divisional round. Let's go to Buffalo again. This is a good game. A little less determined by the refs. We just got to see some quarterbacks play. And I mean, Josh Allen, nothing special. Dude threw for 127. No touchdowns. Couple of rushing touchdowns.
Game manager, man.
No turnovers though by the Bills.
Didn't mess it up.
And costly turnovers and a lot of dropped passes by the Ravens.
Yeah, just no errors from the Bills, really whatsoever.
Why
kind of completed on all cylinders?
Why did we stop handing the football off to Derrick Henry? Is my question.
Right
on the 2-yard line, going for the 2-point conversion. What do we? Why
that first drive?
A pass play.
The first
really
drive from Baltimore, I was
mind?
like, oh no, this is going to be a long day, dude.
A bootleg to Mark Andrews is really the 2-point play when you have Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, it's only a bad play because he dropped. It's a walk-in. It's a walk. It's tie game. We're going to overtime. 9 times out of 10, that play's made.
The better option is always run it with him.
So
I feel like always.
Little stat: the Ravens are 11-0 this season. When Derrick Henry rushes for at least 85 yards. He was at 84.
Oh no.
16 carries. When they're still in this, I'm like, they wanted Lamar to pass it too much, and I think they had some possessions end because
I don't think John Harbaugh is a big game head coach.
He might not be. I mean, he's won the Super Bowl, but that was a long time ago.
He had Ed Reed and that defense. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, we're having the same conversation about Mike Tomlin, like, who also won the Super Bowl. Well, I mean, that's
you had
the better part of that's over a decade
Hall of Fame
ago.
players on your defense. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I mean,
this was set up for him this year too. For
you look at the Ravens roster versus the Bills. I mean, the Ravens have 4 Pro Bowlers on defense. You've got quite possibly one of the greatest running back quarterback duos we've seen of all time in terms of how those guys can beat you versus Josh Allen and the Bills with the power of friendship.
Right.
I mean,
basically.
They don't got any Pro Bowlers or all pros on defense. The Ravens got guys there. I mean, Deion Dawkins is on the all pro team.
Yeah.
He's been around forever.
Defense line.
He's not even like a young guy on their team, like a young star. That's a vet. Deion Dawkins.
I mean, it was really it was
He's a vet.
Josh Allen power friendship, man. Like that's what they did, and they ran the ball
No shoes outside.
really well. And what we're seeing in this postseason, a lot of running the football, and so having these turnovers, having these mistakes like missing a field goal, going 3 and out, not finishing drives, fumbling in the red zone, that type of stuff. You're just getting less possessions with how often the football's run because the shot clock's getting chewed up quicker. And less possessions just maximizes how costly a turnover is.
How about DeMar Hamlin though, man? 8 tackles,
dude.
a sack.
No,
2
you
tackles
get it.
for
He
loss,
gets the
bro?
free shout out for the.
Come
That's
on,
a great. Hey, that's putting in work right there,
Yeah,
caveman.
it really is.
That's putting in work.
It really
dude.
was. That's kind of our
Shout out to
savior
that
right
guy bouncing back, bro. He gets a free shout out of the segment.
there. Him and,
Yeah.
Rasul
One of the
Douglas.
most incredible stories in sports. I mean, this
Dude,
guy
He died on the
died on the field, was resuscitated, and here we are a couple of years later in the playoffs. A huge difference
Led the
maker
team
for
in
this
picks
defense.
this year too.
Spent a year or so on the practice squad and on the bench and stuff,
Yeah.
and just built his strength back up, built up his cardiovascular system. He was because I
Dude.
remember watching him on Pat McAfee's show. He's like, he's like, from that injury to like, he was like, I felt fine, but then I'd start running and I would just be winded after like 30 yards, like I just ran a marathon or something. So he's like building
Out
that
there feeling like a
cardiovascular.
smoker.
Yeah, he's like, my cardiovascular system
mean,
just took so much longer to
So this comeback,
recuperate.
he is a great hybrid safety for them because he can
Yeah.
cover.
Playing the box, man.
Right, he's
pretty
rangy,
good in the
cover,
box
but he
because
can
he's
come down and
aggressive.
run support, blitz the quarterback. I mean, he's
Cover
got
tight ends coming across the backside.
exactly.
I kind of like him. Kind of like him.
He's been a difference maker for them.
I got Buffalo over
For
the
sure.
Chiefs. I mean, I know it's the same old story. And it's funny. Remember that old clip when the Bills did beat the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years back? And Patrick Mahomes, like, oh, you just got lucky. I don't even want to repeat the rest of it because I almost swore and I don't want Stokely to
Are
sue
you
us.
talking about when they had that offsides penalty?
And Buffalo, because they ran that one crazy trick play that went for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, we're like Kelsey.
And then
lateral
Mahomes
to
was
it.
a total hater to Josh, even though it's clear that this guy's whole career is based on flags. They
Right,
played
oh.
the game straight up with him against Tampa Bay, and look what happened. He gets blown out. So it's like, well, what are we even talking about?
Dude,
You know?
in like a 7-year career, I've mentioned this on previous shows. Mahomes has had more interceptions overturned than Tom Brady did. Like Tom Brady in 22 years of playing football, had 17 interceptions overturned by penalty. Mahomes had 22 in a third of that time.
Yeah.
Like
Many
calm
more to
down.
come.
Yeah.
boys.
Many more to
Let's
come.
go.
Well, and
Heck
and
yeah.
that's not even counting all the like bad incompletions he's thrown, or like where he's thrown an incomplete pass on third or fourth down. He's like forced it into double coverage and it gets broken up. Like they're
Yeah.
or
And I'm like, why
he
is
just
Kansas
misses.
City the market that all of a sudden gets this favoritism from? And I mean, like, I'm not going to say the NFL is rigged or anything like bad like that, but there's a favoritism there.
Oh, for certainly, it's just
not
certain
even the
teams get
same
call.
thing. Yeah. So it's like,
It's
why
a-
is that team
I
like
think
Kansas
it's just,
City?
you just get it's the guy. It's a team with the quarterback for all those years because Brady and the Patriots did get some favorable calls over the years.
Yeah, but they
I'll
also
say.
ran roughshod over a lot. It's like
They were
I mean,
definitely
they're blowing guys
They
out.
at least could just go out there and beat you.
Yeah,
they were
but-
more dominant in some senses. But
It's
I
like,
will
yeah,
say like,
they
there
would
were.
get a call, but it's like, man, that one call would.
I mean,
really-
I do very vividly remember me and all my friends in high school calling Tom Brady the Lady Brady because we felt like he got, he would
Yeah.
cry every time he got touched. So I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
although I don't think
Yeah.
he got like off. It was more just he would complain and then sometimes get a flag, but like I feel like Mahomes gets it almost every time.
but
Feel
at
like
least
it's just
Brady
more
went
true.
through an era where,
Right.
guys, I remember when Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick, and everybody lit that guy up like a Christmas tree,
Well, he had
and
to earn it.
didn't get any favorable calls
Right. Well-
for 15 years, and then it was like, oh well, this guy's the best
Yeah.
quarterback in the league. So
And-
after the 6th time after he beat Peyton Manning in the AFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl,
Right.
35-11 or whatever that score
And
was, like okay, like
He would get hit hard.
The
and not
Patriots
complain
just had
because of the
dominant
penalty.
defenses.
I watched Bobby Sanders from the Colts a couple times headhunt Tom Brady.
He would get hit hard and not complain because he was mad for no call, just because he was competitive.
And he's gonna throw a touchdown.
He
on
would
you
get
anyway.
sacked and be like, "Oh, like this is annoying. I just got sacked." That's like the worst
He
thing
also
that
had
could
one
have
of the
happened.
best
on a
offensive
play.
lines where
Yeah.
he didn't get,
Hardly ever got sacked, but when he did, he got pretty upset because he was just competitive. Had the spirit to play.
What used to really make me mad, guys, was like Tom Brady could take like the most super mid running back and just make him look absolutely amazing. Like Kevin Falk, like cool, but like really, what are we talking about?
Dude,
Didn't
James
they
White
signed LeGarrette Blunt one
looked
year.
elite.
Danny Moorhead or whatever his name was.
Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead, dude.
That freaking guy.
That Falcons Super Bowl where they came back and that running back, it was like that's all they did.
Bro, that was their whole game plan.
That was their whole game plan.
Spam checkdowns to James White, and it just worked.
It worked.
Dude, he had like 20 receptions. It was an insane number.
The game was, as soon as it went to overtime, the Falcons knew the game was over.
That game,
And it was just the
alone
running
was
back just checkdowns the entire way down,
Bro,
hand the ball off, touchdown.
It's
dude,
like, it's James.
do we
White,
even
best
know who
RB1?
Julian Edelman, Wes Welker are
Right.
without Tom
Right.
Brady?
True that.
Bro, Brandon LaFell looked like an actual. He looked
Deion
like the guy.
Branch was was a Super Bowl MVP out of the slot. He caught the ball 4 times for 100 yards and touchdown. Super Bowl MVP. Teddy Bruschi on that field, 35 tackles, no big deal. Not the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Literally. All over the field against Carolina. That was the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl. That was when it solidified it for America, like Tom Brady's a guy. 3 and 5 years.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm just saying, like, during that dynasty, I remember time to time, you're like, man, were they getting favorable calls? Or you're like, oh, were they getting away with cheating? You know, they had a couple of scandals. That was more so where I think the hatred for the Patriots came.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
They were just dominant.
They were, man. It's just what it was, dude. They were the most prepared team. They had the better players, better scheme.
Like when they had a good team, I mean, you would look at like they'd just roll through the regular season. They'd have a couple close games against some other like playoff
AFC was weak
contenders,
too.
you know.
It was really top heavy with just Brady and Manning there for a little while.
I mean, he dominated his division. I mean, they just like the Bills, Dolphins, like the point differentials against those
huge.
Three teams was ridiculous.
Even though the Dolphins would always split with the Patriots for some reason, Wildcat year, you know, there's always years, you know, it seemed like there was always a couple of years where that Miami Dolphins game in Miami against the Patriots was sort of like the proving ground for the Patriots because they'd get monstered in some of those games.
It would either be the last game of the season where like they sit everybody, or the
right at the beginning
the
of the
Miami
year.
Miracle happens.
Miami
and it's
Miracle,
like the
that was another
last-second
one.
touchdown.
Yeah.
That one was sick.
Yeah,
that one was cool.
And to give the Chiefs credit, you know, when they had Tyreek and Travis Kelce and Mahomes was like throwing for like 40, 50 touchdowns a year, they looked more dominant. But the past couple of years, you're like, I mean, they look very average. They look beatable.
That's the sign of a mature team. You know what I mean? Like,
And-
dude, like I've said it when I first started coming on NBR. Shout out Joel, where I'm like, dude, like play some game. Like I'm okay with the game. Like I am totally okay with the game manager. You know, and that's really what Patrick Mahomes is sort of like morphed into. Like, yeah, he can make all the throws and all that, but when he needs to, and he just needs to find first downs and milk the clock or drive your way to the 30 so you can kick a field goal. Like, and you have a pretty good field goal kicker, good special teams, good defense.
25 checkdowns.
It's a team game.
Falling asleep watching.
It's a boring.
But you know,
I'm not saying
they're gonna win.
it's just a boring game.
Yeah.
It's a boring game. You know, I like their defensive line, but like they're beatable, man.
Yeah.
Kansas City's beatable. There's
They are.
really nobody in the NFL playoffs right now that I'm like, oh, well, this is a team that, you know, look at the Detroit Lions. Talking about a team that dominated the regular season. It's like that stuff doesn't matter.
I think that's really the difference between the Patriots dynasty and the Chiefs dynasty is like when you play Kansas, like when you played the Patriots, you're like, oh man, like
you're in for a long day.
Oh yeah.
Can these guys are just so they play perfect, almost perfect football most of the time. Like you have to be perfect and like
they stress you
execute
in personnel
perfectly.
because if you ran
And
6 DBs, what do you?
Yeah.
Who's covering Gronk?
They knew exactly how to
You
attack
know.
your weaknesses, and it was like you had to be able to disguise them? Can you make Brady uncomfortable and not locked in?
Right.
Whereas like when you're with the Chiefs, you're like, oh man, hopefully the penalties they get aren't going to be too costly. Hopefully the calls they get. I think like that's the biggest difference I feel between the Patriots and the two dynasties. That's where I feel.
I'm with you.
When I think about like
Pretty spot on.
watching
kind of spot on. Really.
watching the Chiefs game, that's what's concerning me most versus when I watch a Patriots game. That was back when they were a dynasty.
Yeah.
What concerns me.
More teams lose games than they do win them, man. And Kansas City just doesn't mess it up, and they just rely on the other
that's
team
their
just
thing.
to throw it away. And
They're just not going to make a mistake. They'll get some favorable calls, not make mistakes. They'll let you beat
Buffalo
yourself.
Not do against the Baltimore Ravens this week.
That's where I'm confident in the Bills.
You come into the playoffs.
This is a disciplined team.
Disciplined team, man.
They'll run the ball. I mean, they can. Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, James Cook, and Josh Allen.
I love the Shakir kid that the Buffalo Bills have.
He's solid, man.
I like him, dude.
Well, and like he really didn't do he wasn't even anything too crazy. He can be a yak demon.
Third down,
give him some space.
They scheme him up to get some first downs and get the ball in his hands in some space. It can be dangerous.
Amari Cooper had no catches.
Keon Coleman's
only
nice.
Target.
Good running game. I mean, obviously Josh Allen's probably their best running back on the Bills. No offense to
James Cook
over
is
there,
really good. They same thing there too. There was one possession that really annoyed me. They got to the 2-yard line and they subbed James Cook out for Ray Davis. They still scored a 2-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why?
Yeah,
you could have had the same result with any of the guys. I think James Cook hand it off to Josh Allen.
I think that's a luxury Buffalo has. They have a great offensive line. That's a big unit that blocks really well together. Their gap scheme is incredible. And just any running back behind it, like all three of these backs are excelling behind that offensive line. I mean, it's really a 4-headed monster between Johnson, Davis, Allen, and Cook. Josh Allen.
Somebody in the backfield can run
Sunday.
Somebody in the backfield. Oh, Sunday.
It's
heck yeah.
That's gonna be such a duel.
City, throw the records out the window, throw the cold out the window. Buffalo's ready for it.
I think offensively,
money line plus 110 on Buffalo you can get right now, but the spread is a pick 'em at 1.5.
Offensively, Buffalo's going to be able to match up well with Kansas City's defense.
I think so, man.
What I'm worried about,
these are teams that have played each other a lot too, guys. So
the one thing that's got me a little concerned is like what the health status of Christian Beneford's going to be. But I think that's absolutely their best cornerback right now.
Yeah.
He is questionable. It's in concussion protocol. Will he clear?
5
I think that'll be pretty. Excuse me. I think that'll be pretty important for Buffalo. And can Buffalo get off the schneid? In the 90s, they lost 4 straight Super Bowls. This will be their 4th playoff matchup against Kansas City.
Can you name those 4 teams that they lost in the Super Bowl to?
2 times it was the Cowboys.
Yeah,
the Cowboys being back to back. The Niners was one of them, right? It's 49ers. The first one.
Nope.
Sure. Yep. It was the Niners were one of them, weren't they?
Redskins.
Oh, it was Theismann.
Redskins, Giant. No, it was the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
Then the Redskins, then the Cowboys.
So it's all the NFC East.
All of the NFC East teams. And who could the Buffalo Bills play in the Super Bowl?
Eagles or Commanders.
Either one.
NFC East teams.
Well, they could really break a lot of streaks here.
Yeah.
How did the Denver Broncos not draft Josh Allen, dude? Instead, they drafted. Do you know who you drafted in that?
Bradley Chubb.
It was Bradley.
Brutal, dude.
Now he's doing nothing on the Dolphins. Yeah. Really.
Brutal. I mean, John Elway. I mean, that's talk about a guy who's just like a copy and paste.
Well, even John
Elway.
Then
John Elway's star gets diminished because Josh Allen's going to is obviously a super mega strato star.
Yep. Even John Elway said too that's his biggest mistake when he was ever a GM was not drafting Josh Allen.
John Elway was great at drafting a lot of positions except quarterback.
Except quarterback.
Bro, he'd bring in some dogs defensively.
Yeah.
Find us some stud
That Shane Ray
receivers.
draft pick was kind of tough, but
That was a rough one, yeah. Noah Fant was a tough one too, but
Noah Fant. I could see that draft pick though for what it was, but some of them sometimes they just don't hit it. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I hope
Paxton
Buffalo
Lynch,
wins it.
Bringing in Case Keenum.
I hope Buffalo wins it. I'm in that camp. I would love to see the Commanders somehow win it, just because of giant middle finger to the previous regime there in Washington.
My dad's prediction was right. He said somebody from the Bucks Commanders game was going to the NFC Championship. Commanders.
Look at that. Shout out Pops.
They're in it.
Shout out Pops.
Let's go to the Motor City.
Let's go to the Motor City.
A little Commanders and
I knew it.
Lions.
I knew it.
Jaden Daniels.
One of my best bets, man. Commanders plus 8.5.
Is it safe to say this is the best season we've seen from a rookie quarterback all time?
He's the best quarterback in the playoffs right now. I think. Easily.
I mean, I think he certainly played the best.
We've been playing.
I mean, Jim
played the best this year.
Name another rookie quarterback that's been more impactful and meaningful for his team.
Oh, we heard the same thing about CJ Stroud last year. You know what I mean? And he threw 40 touchdowns. He did about, won a playoff game. We know he's not in the he didn't go to the AFC Championship game, and I see your point there. That's why I'm hesitant. I'm just thinking it's like there's always usually one or two.
Jimmy, stop thinking about the future. I'm just saying rookie season.
Right.
Is this the great?
Right.
I think it is. I mean, what his career looks like from here, who knows? But this is an incredible rookie season. I mean, it's behind an average defense. They're like the 18th ranked.
You'd have to
total
go back
defense.
a while. You would definitely have to go back a while.
The only other two, like in the Super Bowl era, the only other two guys I think that have taken their team as rookies, I think there's three. I think Big Ben did it. Did Big Ben?
Tom Brady won the Super Bowl his rookie year. So
yeah, but he came in like as
a
filling in, and like that was another team where it was just a dominant defense. Like in that 2001 run, the Patriots in that playoff run scored 29 offensive points. Yeah, and
their offense couldn't have scored if their offense scored 0 points that year. I saw a little thing like their record still would have been like 10-6 or whatever it was if their offense scored 0 points. Like
they just had that dominant,
and their special teams too was a lot of guys there.
And Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco, they took their team to. I wouldn't even say they took their team to AFC championships because again, they had elite defenders. Sanchez had, like a prime Brandon Marshall. I mean, he had the benefit of playing with freaking Darrelle Revis. That guy just deleted a number one wide receiver.
Dak Prescott in 2016, his rookie year, did have 38 touchdown passes, a 103.2 quarterback rating, and didn't win a playoff game. But, I mean, that's going back to 2016. Andrew Luck, but he didn't do anything in the playoffs.
Right. Jaden Daniels, 30.
And then Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl his rookie year too, but he only threw.
That was his second year.
2012.
No rookie quarterbacks ever started in the Super Bowl. So that was Russ's year too when he won the Super Bowl. And again,
yeah, you're right.
He had the Legion of Boom.
Right. No question about it.
I'm not knocking on this Commanders defense. They've made
I think
some
you might
plays.
be right, man.
They're solid. But I mean, it's been him as an
Mac
offensive
Jones
engine.
Disrespect right now in 2020. I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Jaden Daniels as an offensive engine. I mean, he's elevated the running backs because he's such a threat with his legs. Terry McLaurin's having a career year. I don't think that's any coincidence. Diami Brown, however you say his name, is just coming alive in the postseason.
Oh, that's so hilarious. The Commanders picked Diami Brown over Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Out of North
That's
Carolina.
right, they did.
Yeah. Dude, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I like him. He's great in fantasy just because of like the offense that they're. The guy's Michael Thomas. The guy's Michael. It's a cookie cutter wide receiver league, man. Like
he does kind of abuse you on those slants and crossers.
That's really all, and he really hopes and prays that a safety's not coming down because then he gets alligator arms.
Get the phantom pain.
You
back
better
to-
be in zone. If you're
Yeah,
in
the
man and you
footsteps
press him
come
off the
knocking.
line, he folds like a wet paper towel.
Just back to Jaden real quick. So in the regular season, he had 3,500 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he also had the most rushing yards by a rookie quarterback in a single season with 891 and 6 touchdowns on the ground.
Brock Purdy lost the conference championship in 2022.
Right, and he came
But
in.
he had a loaded
came in
team.
late, right? Like you just look at all those teams. Like
he started week 3 because Trey Lance started the first 2 weeks.
no, Jimmy Garoppolo came in for a while, and
Mhm.
Garoppolo got
injured.
hurt. No, Jimmy G played for a few weeks. I think he got injured against Kansas City. It was like mid-season. Like Purdy's like first ever start was against Brady and the Bucks, and like he was just a late addition to the year. And
His game started on Pro Football Focus as 10. So he started 10 games.
okay, so that was probably week
He threw for 1,374
week 8,
yards.
week 7, probably something like that.
Yeah, 11 touchdowns, 107.3 quarterback rating. Yeah, but regardless, though, like you still had a loaded team in San Francisco there. So yeah, I think you're probably
like the Commanders. They've got some
probably
guys,
right, man.
but in terms of just like how stacked, like I think this team really gets like put Brock Purdy, just current Brock Purdy on this team. Do you think they're going to an NFC championship?
absolutely not.
No, right?
They're not
Absolutely
in the
not.
conversation.
Yeah,
Dude, put Jalen Hurts on this team. Do you think Jalen
I
Hurts
gotta
could get
agree
this
with
team
you.
to the conference
I got
championship?
to agree with you now, Mercury. I got to put Jane Daniels in there, man. Now that
like-
I'm seeing all these names and going over everything, like,
Legit,
Best quarterback.
because I'm like, all right, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of guys, you
Like,
know what I mean, come in there.
just his contribution to their winning,
not
I think, is
wrong, man.
more significant
It's way more.
than any other rookie
Him
quarterback
and
we've
CJ
seen.
Stroud the last 2 years, probably the best 1-2 combo rookie quarterback to come in and really be an
Exactly.
impact right away.
And even then, like I think Houston had a higher ranked defense than the Commanders did.
But if you really think about it, it's Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. It's freaking two.
Well,
old-
Jonathan Allen in the middle of there is an all pro too.
They got 3 old guys, and everybody else is.
They
super
traded
young on
for
that
your boy?
defense. They traded for Lattimore.
Like let's not
aging
give
a
all the
little bit.
credit to Jaden Daniels.
Dan
They-
Quinn.
Dan Quinn's been a fantastic
shout
coach.
out Dan
Cliff
Quinn.
Kingsbury's play calling's been great, and they
Oh,
made
yeah.
some good
Yeah.
free agent additions. Like I know Bobby Wagner's old, but he's still just
Still
a
getting it done?
masterful middle linebacker.
Still getting it done.
He's a great guy to have out there, just calling the plays. Yeah. Frankie Louvu, Dante Fowler's been a very pleasant surprise for them.
It's just Louvu and Wagner can just lead your defense alone.
Trading for
right there.
Marshawn Lattimore definitely helped. Veteran tight end like Zach Ertz, good safety blanket for a rookie. Terry McLaurin, is that guy. Bringing in Austin Eckler, just kind of a change of pace back from Brian Robinson, has been helpful. They got Tyler Biadasz, who's been an excellent lineman. He was a free agent signing. So I'm not giving all the credit to Jaden Daniels, obviously, but just as an engine and a driving force for this team, he's been incredibly poised. I mean, he's the only quarterback to win a playoff game on the road, and he's done it twice. The only guy in this postseason to win a road playoff game so far.
That's a good point.
He's already got more playoff wins than Kirk Cousins,
Justin Herbert.
Plenty of guys that got 1
Dak
and 2
Prescott?
records. Dak Prescott.
He's
Purdy.
tied. I think he
Bro.
might be tied with Lamar Jackson with wins.
I think he might.
Lamar Jackson
something
is
close.
3 and 5 in the playoffs.
Is he
So
3
he-
and 5?
I mean,
but
he's
still
one more
right
win
there.
to tie it.
Yeah.
One more to win to tie it.
Like, he's almost
Philadelphia
there.
-6, -290 on the money line. Total is 47 and a
Oh.
half. I probably got to go Philly -6. That's a really good number.
I
'Cause I think
mean,
they can win by a touchdown.
I love
Yeah.
the Commanders. This I'd be rooting for Jaden Daniels, but the glaring issue and something that Detroit wasn't able to exploit because they had these turnovers that helped them get down and they had to throw the ball more is how bad that run game is. Jahmyr Gibbs
Right.
was gashing them, but they only gave him the ball 14 times and on 14 carries. He had 105 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So you imagine if they weren't, down 10 most of the game
That's a
and
good point.
Goff wasn't chucking it, 40 times, that if he didn't, if they didn't turn the ball over, four times?
Four times.
Goff threw.
And why
No, it
is
was
David
5.
Montgomery, Teddy Bridgewater, and Jamison Williams also throwing a pass along with Jared Goff's 40?
Also, like, when you're down
Holy
10,
crap.
why are you calling like this end around play
It
where
was 5 because Jamison Williams threw the pick.
Yeah,
Those
where he's
freaking
got to throw
And then that fumble.
That's not even on the play call. Throw it away.
Ben Johnson and his fancy play calling, your season's on the line,
That's
and
not even on
you're
him,
going to
though.
call a pass, and you're throwing the pass with Jamison Williams?
Why would he even throw that though?
I'm so glad the Bears hired that guy, dude.
Because he knows. He's probably told too. Like, if no
Everything's on
one's
film
open,
already.
throw it away.
Yeah.
Well, this is the one pass that the guy
Pressure,
gets to
Jared.
throw.
You get a little
They just
bit
want the
of
stat.
pressure, on Jared Goff, and he turns into the milkman,
Dude,
immediately.
I think he just choked under the lights. All those interceptions he threw,
We saw it in the Super Bowl.
dude, relatively clean pockets.
He only got
not-
sacked twice and he had
Right.
3 picks.
Right.
I don't
Sorry, boys.
really
Good.
think it. I don't even think the Commanders pressured him a ton. All 3 of his interceptions, clean pocket. One, he just sailed the ball on Tim Patrick because he was
5 pressures.
he was indecisive because Patrick. I saw like the overhead view of that route. Like Patrick was like, he did this like weird like little kind of like where he's supposed to be running out. Looked like he was gonna break it in, then out, and then he just kind of settled in the zone. I don't know why Goff didn't just take the check down to Laporta, who was wide open.
Who had a touchdown 60 yards.
right. He decided that like Patrick doesn't even know what route he's running, and then you just sail the ball over his head.
Yeah.
The other pick, he threw like that ball on a rope when Sandstrill really had great quarters coverage on Williams. Like he had to put that ball out in front of Jamison Williams for it to have a chance. Like he clean pocket, he just threw it on the line, and Sandstrill trumped the route. And then the last one, again, like clean pocket, they're down by 14. He just forces a ball kind of across the middle, gets picked off by Jeremy Chin. But when they did get pressure, like immediately
Another vet.
up the middle with
Defense is
on
gonna
the
be tough
fumble,
next year for Detroit, man.
like the pressure was on him immediately.
They have
He didn't
nobody
protect
over
the
there.
ball, and he gave it away that way. So I see what you're saying, but the 3 picks he threw, clean pockets. Like
Yeah. 5 pressures for 2 sacks for Washington. So
they weren't
he
even really
And
getting
it,
after him
they-
that much, and he
5
just
pressures,
folded.
but they're pressuring up the middle when they did, and that's when he's taking that, dude. That
That's-
second pick, because he doesn't understand when you have pressure up the middle, you can just take 2 steps to your left or 2 steps to your right, and you're going to be able to have a clean area to be able to at least throw the ball to. He always steps back and up into pressure when he's throwing the ball. You get him off his spot, man. Where
He does not
drops
like to
back
move in the
1, 2,
pocket.
3, where he's that back foot. You have to make that back foot move. He's going to throw you a pick, and that's what it was the entire game. It's just and Dan Quinn, man, had it dialed up perfect. Every time that there was an overthrow, there's a man there. If there's an underthrow, there's a man there. Ready for the trick play? Hey, Ben Johnson, maybe you can't run 15 trick plays a game. Maybe when you put everything on film, when you ran Jamison Williams on a sprint option, you had him throw a touchdown earlier in the year and everybody thought you were a genius. Guess what? That worked once.
Yeah, it's probably not the time to call that.
Probably
Yeah,
not the ideal time to call 5 trick plays in a row.
Just
especially when he
getting too
wants the
cute.
stat and just throws a pick.
Just getting too cute, like too often.
Well,
you
when
know?
your quarterback has 3 picks, you might as well have a wide receiver throw a pick too.
Why not?
Yeah,
And then
why
who
not?
threw a pick in the last week of the season against the Green Bay Packers? Keenan Allen on some weird play, like similar play to Jamison Williams. And then who did the Bears? Like, yep, absolutely. Let's go hire that guy who has
Yeah.
wide receivers throwing picks.
Well, that's what we want. Yeah,
It's their guy.
Their entire playbook's on film already.
like guys,
I don't know if that'll be a good thing.
why are we overcomplicating this, Ben? Jameer Gibbs getting 7 yards a pop. Give him the football. Just
Nobody can cover Sam Laporta.
run the ball. Goff is rather clearly
Right.
like he is giving the football away, and it's
Slant routes aren't working to Amon Ra anymore.
your backs are healthy. Washington their secondary is where
8
their
for
strength is on defense.
137. No touchdowns.
They've really struggled against the run this year, and that's your strength on offense is running the football, and they didn't do that.
No, right? Yeah, they did. They definitely didn't do that.
Like you abandoned your identity and tried to run all these trick plays. Like when Goff was out, that was a good time to call out those trick plays because you know, like Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have a lot of reps with the first team. You know, like let's get, but like Goff is back in there. Like let's just get back to some RPOs, some run plays. You know, get Jahmyr Gibbs the football. He also had 70 yards receiving. Like they didn't have an answer for him.
Yeah. They really didn't.
He carried the team.
Shout out Jane Daniels, man.
Yeah.
Shout out Jane Daniels. You know, we'll see what that Detroit Lions do next year. I mean, they're getting decimated with their coaching staff right now. And that's what happens.
We'll see.
You know, and then
it
you got to rebuild. It might have been a very
small window that they had that might have closed.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to root for Goff, man, but
I don't.
It's kind of hard to say third time's a charm after this loss. You know,
it's hard, man.
I can't even really blame like the pressure Washington was getting. I just think all three of his interceptions, it was a clean pocket, man.
Yeah,
like
they got 11 free agents right now too.
He just choked on the throws.
You know, I mean,
yeah, they have a lot of work to do to even keep this team together.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And just like they might be able to bring back, you know, some of their main guys. I mean, obviously Hutchins will come back from his injury, and a couple guys will. But it's like, man, you know, like you got to keep Kirby Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep Kirby Joseph. You don't have Kirby Joseph in that secondary. You have nobody back there.
They got to keep him and Brian Branch.
Well, Branch still on a rookie contract.
That's fair, yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to have a couple of years there to decide they could still tag him. But there's, like, depth players. Elaine McNeil, you bringing him back? 34 years old off of an injury? Still, I mean, he's a solid piece in the middle, but, I mean, like, how much are you going to get out of that guy with how much you're going to have to invest in him?
That was their issue all year is, like, the defensive side of the ball.
Campbell, that dude who stepped up. Alex Anzalone's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
That Campbell dude who stepped up when Hutchinson went down.
Tough.
Jack Campbell.
Jack Campbell, he's a free agent.
Tough time to be a Lions fan.
You know, Penei Sewell, I mean, they re-signed him to big money, but that was 4 years ago. He's going to need a new bag. Monty, free agent.
Oh, is he too? Dang.
Skipper, free agent.
Oh, they're losing a lot.
You know, I mean, I bet you could probably bring back maybe a couple of those guys, but
right.
I mean, just like how much depth are you going to have? Because that's the thing. That's their problem now. Like, they got injury decimation and, like, you know, whatever, but, like, you need depth in the NFL to win.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. You know, the Eagles.
Like, you can find a way to coast by in the regular season if you've got, like, you know, enough talented starters and, good play call and all that stuff. But, like, it gets to the playoffs.
Laporta needs a contract.
Like, if you've got guys that can just get taken advantage of and, like, that's what the Commanders just did really well. They just kind of abused that secondary.
25.
Got their guys in the space.
Oh, he's still got a couple of years on his rookie deal, too. Okay. He's already 25, and he's on a rookie deal.
Well, our final game to recap in Philadelphia. This was another great game.
This was a good game.
I'm looking at this right here. Headline, Alex Smith. Eagles bailed out by the weather in the win over the Rams. I haven't even watched it to hear what he says, but I guess that's his take on that one.
Everybody played in it.
Yeah. If both games had weather.
Everybody played. I mean, both sides played in it. I mean, the Rams had a shot, but they gave up that touchdown at the end to Saquon, that backbreaker.
Hey,
that
again,
long 60-yarder.
Guess what cost the Rams? Turnovers,
right?
And untimely penalties.
Yep.
How many, like some drives ended early because of holding calls, getting behind the sticks. I mean, Jalen Hurts was out there, hopped up on painkillers, barely able to move in the second half.
Perked up, baby.
He got sacked 7 times, a large part because of his, in the second half because of his immobility.
15 of 20 for 128, and that was it. Saquon just goes off for 205 and 2 touchdowns.
Like Stafford, threw for 324. Kyron Williams had 106. I mean, they were moving the ball up and down the field, and then they were not but they weren't coming away with enough points.
3 fumbles. They lost 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oof.
One, I mean,
That's tough.
Like costly fumbles where it's like one after you get a safety and you're down 1 point.
Yeah, they got a safety and fumbled it. I was like, wow, that's it.
Player of the game. I know Saquon had 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Carter, player of the game. This guy was a beast. Dan Orlovsky pointed out on his Twitter.
Chicago Bears passed on him for
dude. If he didn't get into some, problems with his reckless driving, like this guy's a top 5 pick, and he fell all the way back there
to him
because of the car crash he got into, and the Eagles got him.
And my thing is, man, like, if the kid is having fun, I don't know, man. Like, I think we're too staunch sometimes. Like, oh, it's a character issue. The guy was having fun with his friends after he won the national championship game. Let the kid be a kid.
All right.
Yeah, something bad happened. 99% of the time, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
This 1%, so now all of a sudden it's a character flaw. No, a bad mistake was made once. That doesn't mean he's.
You think
is he a good football player? Yes, draft him.
You think his buddies weren't goating them on? In the
he's
car?
riding in a bus to games anyway. He's not drag racing to the games. This isn't the 70s where you're driving to the game on your own or walking to the Super Bowl. Like Howie Long has had to do. These guys are staying in hotels day before the game, home or away, doesn't matter. Yeah. I don't know, man. I hate when they throw that, or when Dan, because I've heard him say that in multiple. Oh, if he didn't get in trouble, it's like, what trouble did he? What are we even really talking about? You know what I mean?
It's not like we can say, well, if you didn't run out of the back of the end zone, you would have been good. He's still not that great in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
but
the guy was he drove a car fast. Lots of us do that all the time. I've seen cavemen on the highway, Mercury.
Yeah.
Don't put him in the NFL.
My car's not even fast.
He has
my car's not
he has
even
a character
that
problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No. I hate when
I'll keep it
absolutely hate when they say that, dude.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't.
Saints back up for any.
I don't remember the exact percentage, but like a survey found like a shocking amount of people speed and
literally everybody
all over the world.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, like you
don't go to the Autobahn.
Go to the Autobahn, bro.
They hate it.
Yeah.
People are in their sports cars pushing 180. Like, what are we talking about?
We got Ronaldo, who's in his gold Ferrari in Dubai, going 215 with his daughters in the back.
Then it's a character flaw, but you're going to give him a huge NFL contract where he can buy a car that is, way better than whatever he was driving, way faster.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I don't know. He might have taken a pay cut from Georgia to Philly, brother.
That's valid.
He might have taken a pay cut.
Well, not anymore after this game.
There's a few guys that probably.
Oh, he's definitely going to get paid. I want to go back to. He absolutely
game record.
He saved the Eagles season. That sack he got, 3rd and 3, forces a 4th and 11. He wins almost immediate. It's immediate pressure up front. As Dan Orlovsky pointed out on his Twitter, because he had the all 22 view, the tight end, I think it was Tyler Higbee, running just a pretty simple dig route. But it's open. The Eagles are dropping most of their guys back towards the outside. They got 2 high safeties kind of covering the end zone, and they're kind of dropping their coverage out towards the sideline. The one guy that's supposed to be manning up on the tight end, he slips, he falls down. So if Carter doesn't come through, Stafford hits the tight end. That's a tight end with a head of steam towards the end zone with a safety to stop him. That's probably a touchdown. Cardi was rookie kicker, but was kicking really well in the snow. Probably makes the extra point. Even if he misses it, you're only up 6. It's at least going to overtime.
Yep.
Good point. Instead, all of a sudden, it's 4th and 11, and then they get pressure again, force a bad throw by Stafford. He saved their season.
Good point, dude. That's a good breakdown, dude.
Jalen Carter.
That's true.
Saved the season. That was.
I mean,
in my heart of hearts, if Stafford was able to get that throw off, that's a touchdown.
78-yard touchdown. I mean, yeah, but dude, you nailed it, dude. That's
the Eagles.
It's hard to argue, dude.
They score.
That's hard to argue.
Saquon rips off the long run but there's still 4 minutes left, and then the Rams go down and score in 2 minutes, bring the game back within 6. They get a stop, and then they were on the move even with no timeouts. I mean, Puka just made an incredible catch along the sidelines.
That was a great catch.
I mean, they had momentum. They were moving and grooving, and then he got that sack and just killed all the momentum on that drive.
Yeah. The weather really didn't affect either team really all that much. Like the fumbles, obviously, maybe they probably would have had less turnovers.
Footing,
but
the speed off of the, I didn't really think it helped kind of the Rams, because I think that offensive line for the Rams would have been getting teed off on by the Philly
it helped the
defensive line. I think Jalen Carter could have been
5 sacks.
That's what I mean.
2.
All right.
That was a good point, Mercury. That was good stuff, bud. Because dude, yeah, man, you put it like that, he probably was the MVP. Had a ball batted down in the first quarter too.
The weather wouldn't have been bailing out the Eagles when their linebackers
half of the game was fine. The weather was fine.
Yeah,
it was half the game was flurries. Nothing was sticking.
Yeah,
they come back
the second half
time, and
that's when it kind of changed. He still had a whole first half to play on a normal field.
Yeah,
and you knew it was going to snow. It was in
Yeah,
the forecast. Both teams knew it was coming.
If
you can't game plan for the weather, well, you don't deserve to win.
Exactly.
They kind of played worse in the sno, or worse.
Game
when
just
it was
slowed
clear.
down.
They played worse when it was clear. They scored 10 points.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts on one leg trying to run in the snow against that Rams pass rush. That was just all over him. I think that was more of a disadvantage. Right. The Rams were getting out of their pass rush stance.
Jared versus Jalen Carter, 2 different body types, both super effective in the middle.
They found themselves a dog. He brings that energy too. What he said about Philly fans, he was goating on the crowd. He's just playing off of that negativity. I mean, he was 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, 4 total tackles. He hit the quarterback twice as well.
It's really because he got a lot of heat early in the season because he wasn't playing too good at the start. The Eagles pass rush early in the year was having some struggles. Guys just putting up donuts.
Dude,
people nowhere on the stat sheet, and you're like, where are these guys? Now they're stepping up. Now we're seeing the big change. And the fans, Philly fans probably hated Jalen Carter until Sunday. Probably
they kind of were trashing him last year. He just takes plays off. It's no, he has to take plays off because they want to sub him out for a rotational defensive tackle and that Davis kid, because they also drafted him with the first round draft pick.
That's what I love about their defensive line rotations are so good. Yeah, they're
kind of thin at pass rusher. I don't know, Nolan Smith. He's our size, dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's not.
Bryce Huff ain't done nothing all season.
He's not. Yeah.
What's that one guy? Jordan Davis. I like
Bryce
him. He's
Huff
decent.
Isn't even on the stat sheet.
Sweat's all right, but they just got a good rotation. Keep those guys fresh, and then Jalen Carter. I mean, he saved his best for the second half. He forces that fumble, another massive play where he forces a fumble. Rams get a safety. They're only down 1 point. They got a good start to a drive going. Kyron, he had a pretty big hole there too. I mean, he could have picked up some yards, and then Jalen punches that ball out from the backside because he forced that fumble too. Eagles recover it. We're able to kick a field goal instead. So
they need a better way to track DB stats. They need to have how many times they got targeted in the game too, because when you just show that Quinyon Mitchell had a tackle and a pass deflection, it's he did nothing. But Quinyon Mitchell, rookie corner, dude, had a pretty solid game.
I like him.
He's pretty solid, a good year from him out of Toledo.
Yeah,
him and Darius Slay made some big plays and pass protect.
They're going to have a couple questions that they're going to need to answer with this Cooper DeJean kid, if he's a slot or if he's a safety. But that Quinyon Mitchell kid.
Yeah.
But they also have, I'm looking at their roster right now, guys. I didn't even realize this. On their defense, man, they got 5 starters that are 28 and over, and they have 2 guys over the age of 30, and they're both free agents. Brandon Graham, free agent. CJ DJ, 29, free agent.
Wow.
So they're gonna have to figure. I mean, I know that Cooper DeJean probably could step in for CJ Garner-Johnson. You know what I mean? If you do end up losing him again, which they've already done twice, which is kind of funny.
He just keeps coming.
Always finds a way back.
He started with who, Caveman?
New Orleans freaking Saints.
But The thing
He got punched by that dude on the
he did.
Bears.
He did.
That's
He did. That was great.
it's hilarious.
That was great.
He's just standing there like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Getting freaking
He
punched in
didn't
the
even
elbow.
do anything on that play either. He just was standing there and he just got teed off on
Some
like
dude on the Bears
Yeah.
swinging on him.
Yeah.
No reason at all.
No reason at all. I remember that play too. It was funny. It was Velas Jones Jr. Shout out Velas
so,
Jones.
yeah.
The liability of all liabilities.
On Hard Knocks though, on Hard Knocks this year, they would have convinced you that Velas Jones Jr. is about to go off for 15 touchdowns this year.
The Bears
the
would have
mo-
found a way
they-
to do it.
Dude, polls in episode 1, first 15 minutes in the post practice thing for training camp, important integral part of our offense. He's cut by the third preseason game.
No, he did play for them in the regular season because he muffed the
He
kickoff.
muffed that kickoff in the first week.
And then I don't think
That
they
was
ever
it.
he
That was
never
it for him.
came back onto the field. Then I think they cut him. All
And
right.
Ajomo's
NFC
25
Championship
too.
preview. Eagles, Commanders. I like
3
the
o'clock on
Cinderella
Fox.
run that the Commanders have been on. I think what's going to be tough. They're playing the number 1 defense in the league in Philly.
Yeah.
And
number 26,
dude,
lined up in the backfield.
yeah, I mean, like Jalen Hurts doesn't even have to play all that well. Like Saquon had, he ripped 2 long ones on the Commanders this year too. He had a 60-yarder on them on Thursday night, and like a 65-yarder against them in Washington. And I think in that Thursday night game, he also ripped them off for like 45 yards. That's just where the Commanders have really struggled in the postseason. Hurts is obviously going to be banged up. I don't even know if he'll be 100%. Philly, I think the Eagles are just going to protect the ball and get behind that offensive line and run it real well. And it's just like Saquon, man. I mean, he's a beast. He finds a seam. It's like one cut and he's gone.
He's a beast, dude. That offensive line, Jalen Hurts.
Well, and they set each other up. He'll start so patient and slow, let the blocks develop, and they'll just get to the right place, and then he just one cut behind them, and he's just gone
out of there.
You have 2 safeties back. Doesn't matter. The Rams played a lot of guys too high safety to have people back there to get him. Still hurt them. Single high safety in the regular season, gashed them. I mean, letting one guy hit you for 4 separate 60+ yard touchdown runs in a single season is nuts. But
top 5 offenses, top 5 defenses in the league. Top 5 offense: Baltimore, Detroit, Tampa Bay, San Fran, Green Bay, all out of the playoffs. Top 5 defense right now. This is just regular season. Philly was number 1. Tennessee, Jets, Miami, Green Bay. Only team still alive out of those teams that I just mentioned, Philadelphia Eagles. Wow. In the last 7 Super Bowl winners, they either were a top 5 offense or a top 5 defense. You have to have one or the other. The only team remaining in the playoffs that has that, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I got the number 1 total defense.
Could be Philly, Buffalo boys.
I'm hoping for that. Just anyone but
I don't
the
want a
Chiefs.
rematch.
Just anyone but the Chiefs.
I don't like that game between Philly and KC. I want to see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I just do.
I mean, you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get more fireworks out of Allen and the Bills running game, anyways. And obviously, Saquon is liable to just go off. So, I think if the Eagles make it, he wins Super Bowl MVP.
I'm definitely gonna bet Philadelphia -6 because I think they can win by a touchdown. I think that's an 8-point game.
Yeah, I love what the Commanders have done, but they're kind of running into a buzzsaw here.
They really are. And they'll be on the road.
And what the Eagles do well offensively is what they struggle to stop defensively. That's just that's what makes me real nervous.
Come on, Commanders.
Washington beat them.
The Eagles they're good about protecting the football. I mean, they get in the 3rd and longs, they are more than happy just handing it off, throwing a check down, and punting it, playing the field position game. That they know Hurts is kind of limited as a quarterback, and they're they play to those limitations because they've put together a great defensive unit and a great run game.
Yeah, Kyle wants me to give him a few anytime touchdown. I mean, dude, easily the number one that I mean, like all day, every day.
Saquon.
Because if you're gonna think that Josh Allen, Kyle, can upset, Pat Mahomes in Kansas City, Josh Allen has to probably go for a rushing touchdown.
Yeah,
The explosive guy in that Buffalo offense, man, Khalil Shakir, catching a lot of deep passes. I think if they're going to be able to beat Kansas City, I sort of like do those correlating plays. It's like, okay, well, if I think Buffalo can win, who's going to have to step up for that team to win? Probably got to be Josh Allen. I would probably maybe bet for super long odds, anytime touchdown, Dalton Kincaid, tight end for the Buffalo Bills. Philadelphia, I've been blind betting. If you just blind bet Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, Saquon. I mean, just pay the juice. I mean, you can also do parlays where you can combine a couple of guys and do that. But for Washington, a guy who I think can score a touchdown on them, you're going to have to think of Washington is going to hang in there. Scary Terry McLaurin's got to have a touchdown catch. And then I would probably also bet, because Philadelphia, they gave up touchdowns to a lot of tight ends this year. I'd probably bet Zach Ertz.
Okay,
that's probably my favorite
Goddard,
one
too.
Dallas Goedert from Philadelphia would be a good option. I would probably say from Philly, Kyle, you could probably get close to 5 to 7 to 1 on it. I'd probably go Devonta Smith anytime touchdown too.
So what about AJ Brown? What do you think there? He usually plays pretty well.
He does. I bet against they're gonna roll coverage
against the Commanders.
I just get worried because AJ Brown,
he's been real quiet the entire play.
And that's a guy that you just have to roll your safety and your combo coverage too. So, and in a game like this, like I think where Philly is going to be running the ball a lot, I would bet Saquon and Jalen Hurts with some of the tight ends like Goddard and Zach Ertz. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Kansas City, dude.
I think Travis Kelce would have one.
I bet he's going to get one too, man. I was just going to say him.
He had freaking 80% of Patrick Mahomes' yards.
Yeah. Those are just a few of the guys that I'd go with, Kyle, if I were you, brother.
That's right. Mahomes, like 177 passing yards, and Kelce had 117 of those.
Yep.
I would also bet Jake Elliott's kicking over, whatever his over is for his point total. He's gone over that in every game at home this season.
Really? Even with all the misses? Did he miss like 2 extra? Well, I guess he only missed 2 extra points.
But his total
he made all the field
last
goals.
Week was 7.5 points, and that was done by the third quarter.
That's true.
So it's
right,
like,
there you go.
I would definitely look at some of those kicking props, but Josh Allen for Buffalo, Khalil Shakir is another one that I'm probably going to go for Buffalo, Travis Kelce for Kansas City, Scary Terry for Washington, and either Saquon or Hurts.
Maybe even Kareem Hunt.
You can go a long shot and maybe go. I think Buffalo's got a long shot. Buffalo Bills defense anytime touchdown, probably 7. You can get 5 on average. You're probably looking at 5 to 6 to 1.
I mean, if you look at it like that, you can put small money on that, and I would pay out big.
That's what I mean. Put $5 on it at 5 to 1. You're going to win, close to $50.
I like that because you think like
it's correlating play,
something that could help them win, getting a defensive.
And it's also special teams, so it's defense or block, return kick. You just think Buffalo's going to upset them, and I think Buffalo has a higher upside. Same with Philly defense. I'm betting, hey, that's a tough spot for a rookie quarterback. Come on the road, championship game versus a team that's already been to the Super Bowl. I mean, Saquon hasn't, but majority of that team's already gone to the Super Bowl. Some guys on that team have won a Super Bowl. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brandon Graham, on that team with Nick Foles when they won it. So, I mean, this is a veteran team in Philly. Bet Philly anytime touchdown on defense, and you can probably get 550, 6 to 1 maybe on that. Special teams are really good. So, kind of what I'm going there.
All right. I like those. Well,
who's your Super Bowl?
I want to see Bills Commanders.
I got Bills.
But it's probably going to be Bills.
I mean, I want Bills Commanders.
You just think KC's going to win, don't you?
Huh?
Do you think KC's going to win deep down in your heart, Mercury?
Don't say it, HG. Don't say it.
You know it's going to happen. We're going to be back here on Monday Football Frenzy
February 10th.
February 10th. Shout out 10:30 to 1. Normal time, right? We doing normal time?
Mhm.
We'll figure it out. Boys will be buzzing, and we're going to be right back here on Monday. They can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, I mean, I just
You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do?
the optimism in me wants to say Bills, Eagles, because I think those are the better teams, the best two teams left. But
Yeah. It's going to be Kansas City.
Hey,
They want the
the
3
evil-
feet, dude.
the evil empire.
Buddy, they put the referee who's undefeated reffing Kansas City games in his career on the Houston Texans game, Kansas City game. If it couldn't be just any more obvious.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, like there's people who pay attention to all these like refereeing betting. Like we got Instagram pages of referees' records when they're reffing some of these games, and it's like not even close. There's a referee.
Putting their A team out.
I forgot his name, but he's pretty good. I like him. He's
We
that
need
black guy with the
full-time refs.
glasses, kind of older, been in the league a while. Buddy, when he's refereeing like the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore versus anybody, they win, including Kansas City.
We need full-time refs.
I mean, this guy versus anybody in Baltimore, the overhits Buffalo or Baltimore wins. It's like, oh, you've refereed there 17 times, and they're like 16-1 to the win and the over. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, well,
Because they'll miss calls, and who's getting in trouble for that? The coach is going to lose his job.
you can't even talk about it. And at least
No.
the NBA has the 2-minute report. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
They
Of all the
need to
things that
have-
the NBA are a joke over.
They need to have more accountability than like the stupid weekly meetings with
Yeah.
all the
Well,
committee of referees.
The
and
NFL,
coaches.
they doubled down there, like refs made the right call. Dude, Troy Aikman is like on live TV just going, oh, come on.
He's beside himself.
Like you
Yeah.
have a Hall of Fame 3-time Super Bowl champion
But to
quarterback.
retire because of concussions.
Just disgusted with the refereeing. Like,
And both of them were. Shout out to two professionals in the booth there, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
for calling
I
that.
appreciate their candor with these things.
I'm
Like,
with you.
they're like, this is bad call. This shouldn't happen.
Not Chris Collinsworth?
No.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Screw
we're out.
Collinsworth.
Yeah, we're out on Collinsworth.
Brady is just kind of bad, but like he's at least a little real. I'll give him that, you know.
Yeah.
Like he kind of just gets rambly. Like he's not the greatest.
He does get a little rambly.
Right.
It'd be like if I'm calling an NFL game, I'd be.
He's
Also,
new
like
to it too.
He is new, yeah.
So
yeah.
really-
Also, something I'll see like a lot of people.
He's a tryhard.
They get like very like they get like a little starstruck with him, and they'll be like, oh, you know, like I know this in this game. Like, you know, Tom, you know a lot about like after a studio update, they said something about like, oh, Tom, like a place Tom you've been to a lot of times before, like back to you in the playoffs, and he like got like all like sheepish. It was like he like didn't really want to acknowledge the compliment. It was kind of weird.
When he knows the camera's on him, he kind of goes into like Ryan Gosling actor mode, where he like looks into the camera like,
Yeah,
you know, and I'm like, all right, buddy. Like,
I think he can. I think he can improve, but it's just
$4
like
million of plastic.
we went
surgery to get
from,
rid of your butt
you know, I love Kevin Burkhardt on the play-by-play.
I
but
love
we,
Burkhardt.
we went
Burkhardt's the
from
man.
him and Greg Olson together when Greg Olson was
Fire.
the man.
He's by far the best. I love Olsen
I-
in that player role.
best color commentary guy. I think
Him
I've
and
ever
Daryl.
heard.
I like Daryl Johnston, the guy from Fox way back. He was a tight end for Troy Aikman.
Yeah, he still does it. Johnston
Is Johnston still on
He's
there?
just not on
He's
their
on
A
the C
team.
team
Yeah.
because he used to be the man back in the day. And Johnston's done big games. He's done playoff games. I've loved Daryl Johnston. He's one of my favorites too. And when Phil Simms is over at CBS, I liked him also.
He was good on CBS.
Won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
versus the Buffalo Bills.
Sims was good, and then he got a little too like, you know,
Corporate.
and he kind of got like a little fanboy with Brady.
Oh yeah.
That's when I stopped liking because I did like Sims, but then it was just like, oh my god, this like every time Brady plays, he just
It's brutal, dude.
so
We-
bad.
Gone a little bit over on time here, boys. It's
That's okay.
10:01. We're gonna be back next Monday for the football
Thanks for
frenzy
checking us out, everybody.
to cover
We
this
appreciate it.
championship weekend. So stick with us. Our interview didn't make it in today, but hopefully we'll be able to reschedule with him. And Stay tuned for next Wednesday. We'll have all the sports. Cover some NBA, some NHL. We're getting in the mid-season. About time. Good time for a good update on this. We're getting out of the
It's college basketball.
college
Full
basketball.
swing.
I'm hyped for it.
I like it.
We'll see everybody next week.
We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.